Truck driver Michael Hanna is suing his ex-fiancée, housekeeper Jessica Henderson, for the return of child support. Michael also claims Jessica won't let him see his son.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 514 on the calendar in the matter of Hanna versus Henderson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. Hanna, you and the defendant have an on-again, off-again sort of relationship, and you have a child together. According to your complaint, you were ordered to pay child support, which you did in fact pay, which was probably being deducted from your salary.
Yes, ma'am.
And there came a time when Miss Henderson and your son moved in with you. They lived with you for 2 months. According to you, she was supposed to stop the child support. She did not, and that money was taken out of your check while she was living with you. You want that money back.
Correct.
In addition, you came home one day and found that she had moved out of the house, taken all your furniture, and according to you, took $500 with your ATM card.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Henderson says she has your permission to take the furniture and the money, and in addition, that you told her that since she was getting child support from you, she had to take care of all the child's expenses when you were living together, so that she's entitled to that. When was your son born?
January 29th, 2 years ago.
Were you living together at the time?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you separate?
About 4 months later, I was at work, got a phone call from a friend of mine, says Jesse came out of an apartment complex, known to be one...
listen, I just asked you for a date.
Okay.
You know.
It's probably 4 months after my son was born.
Did you start to pay child support immediately?
Yes, ma'am.
That was as soon as she moved out?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, when did she move back in with you?
Well, we got back together, and I was staying with her at her East 46th Street house, and she said we need to get a single house for us and the kids. So for the next 4 months, we was looking at houses. I bought a 4-bedroom house in the suburb of Cleveland, Parma. I thought everything was going good.
When she moved into the house that you bought, was she giving you any money?
She did at first. She gave me $3,000, help pay for, like insurance and stuff like that.
Just a minute. So she stayed with you for 2 months in the new house that you bought?
Yes, ma'am.
And when she stayed with you for 2 months, she gave you $3,000?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she give you the $3,000 for, sir?
It was child support money. She gave it back to me saying, here, since we was living together prior to moving into this house, that she's like, here, it's my savings, take it.
And you took it?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you suing her now for?
Thank you.
What are you suing her now for?
She sued me back for the $3,000, but she signed a gift letter saying it was a gift, free and clear, no strings attached before I bought my house.
Just 1 second. Hold on a second. So she sued you for the $3,000?
Yes, ma'am.
Did she get it?
No, ma'am.
So now you have the $3,000?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are you suing her for?
The child support was from when we stayed together at her East 47th Street home that she continued to get while I was living with her. Under Ohio law, she was supposed to report that I was living with her at child support. She never did. Under the new agreement that I bought the new house, the child support was supposed to be dropped. The money is irrelevant. She took my kids and my life. That's the important thing. She's refused up until this week to let me see my children. I continue to pay this.
Mr. Hanna, listen to me very carefully, sir. You have to decide what court you want to be in. If you're not here over the money, because clearly, if she gave you $3,000 when you moved into the new house, and this house is in your name.
Yes, ma'am.
And for moving in expenses, for the child support, for whatever, and that was her savings. That's what you just told me. She gave you her savings. I am unsympathetic with you with regard to her taking $500 out of your ATM account. So if what you're saying is that you're angry because she won't let you see your son, that's a whole different story. That's something that I can't do anything about. That's something that you have to do something about.
Legal motions have been filed in our hometown. I'm in the process of, going after joint custody with her. Tracking down where she's staying currently is another story.
Well, why do you think she's so angry with you, Mr. Hanna?
Your Honor, I come home, I work 6 days a week, I drive truck, I work 14 hours a day. I come home on a Friday night, my whole house is empty. My kids are gone. Can you picture everything you own?
One child.
No, she has another child by a previous relationship.
I understand that, but you only have one child together.
I consider hers mine, though.
Do you pay child support for her?
I give that child everything she needed.
Do you pay child support for her?
No, but I continue to give that child everything she needs. The love and a father. Ain't that the most important thing?
No, the most important thing is food.
Right?
She took that, too.
The most important thing, Mr. Hanna, is food.
She took that also.
I'm asking you a question. So you don't know why she cleaned out your house. Why don't you tell him?
He knows why. He's...
No, just a minute. He doesn't know why.
Because he was cheating on me.
Got it?
No, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
That's what's in her head.
I know that's what's in her head. If she would stay on her psychiatric medication, things would be all right.
Excuse me, Your Honor, it's so off, okay? Depression for the first time he loved me.
Shh. Now, Miss Henderson.
Yes.
Listen to me. You have a child together.
Yes.
He may not be a wonderful mate.
Correct.
But you picked him to father your child.
Correct.
You cannot decide after you have had a child with someone that you don't want them to have any input in that child's life anymore because you don't like. I'm speaking because you don't like them anymore. That's not your prerogative. And if you do that, you're doing a disservice to your son, who will one day grow up and hate you for it. May not hate you for it now because he's 2, 3 years old, but when he's 15, trust me, he will hate you for it. I've been in this business a long time, so I would not fight the issue of regular contact between this gentleman and his child.
Can I say something, Your Honor?
Sure.
When the baby was 6 months old, he had left me for a 19-year-old. Got her pregnant. Now they have a 7-month-old baby together.
So?
So after I move out, he's got her she moves in a month after I move out.
So
he's got 2 different women coming to his house. He's drinking all the time. I don't need my son around that stuff.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You can be the drama lady from today until tomorrow. You do not impress me. You are not listening to what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is, you're no bargain either.
And later today.
What you're annoyed about is that he moved on before you were finished with each other.
No, I'm actually more annoyed at the fact that he's slept with my best friend.
Well,
Now they're
that's
having a
what
baby.
I would try to say it a little more delicately than you did.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael Hanna claims ex-fiancée Jessica Henderson owes for the return of child support. Jessica says Michael cheated on her with a 19-year-old girl.
You have 2 out-of-wedlock children.
Exactly.
He's got 2 out-of-wedlock children. Sounds like a perfect match to me. What I'm telling you is, you picked him. He is the father of your son. Don't look at him. Don't look at her. He is the father of your son. You don't have the right to say, I don't want him to have anything to do with him. You don't have that right. If a judge tells you that because it's not in the child's best interest, the judge will make that decision. But I'm telling you that you don't have the right, just because you wear the mantra mother, to say this person who had fathered a child, who you lived with off and on, who this child knows as his father, you don't have the right to cut off that relationship. And you may have the right to cut off the relationship with the older child and him. That's unfortunate if he's been in that child's life for a long time. But you certainly don't have the right to cut off a relationship with his biological son. That's very stupid.
So it's all right to let my son go over there while he, you know, have sex with these 2 women at the same time, out drinking, having his other girlfriend,
Miss Henderson,
taking my child to daycare.
Miss Henderson, listen to me carefully. You can be the drama lady from today until tomorrow. You do not impress me. You are not listening to what I'm saying to you. What I'm saying to you is, you're no bargain either. You've had 2 out-of-wedlock children.
Correct.
As far as I can tell, somebody else was at least marginally supporting you. I don't know who supports you now. What I'm telling you is, the 2 of you aren't bargains. However, maybe between the 2 of you, you can make one perfect parent. Maybe 50% you, 50% him. You don't have the right to tell him he can't see his son. Your case is dismissed, sir. She gave you $3,000. It's over. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I'm not mad. I'm just glad that she voiced her opinion about me being able to see my children.
I know his lifestyle, and, you know, I really don't want my child growing up like he did.
Judge Judy asked her who helped support her. She lives with a 72-year-old sugar daddy.
I know what goes on when the children aren't there.
Maybe if I'm living the lifestyle she accused me of, maybe she still wants a part of it. I don't know.
He's not ready to be a father.
She'd still be in my house and still be with my kids right now. She wouldn't, you know, should just leave the drugs and everything else alone, you know?
He'll go his separate way and I'll go my separate way.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Rushworth versus Tripp, step forward.
Broker coordinator Sheila Rushworth is suing her ex-boyfriend, project manager Clay Tripp, for breaking an apartment lease and for his share of household bills. Clay says Sheila kicked him out.
Miss Rushworth, you have 2 children, is that right?
Yes, I do.
How old are they?
14 and just turned 11.
According to your complaint, you and Mr. Tripp were in a relationship and decided to lease an apartment or a home together.
Correct.
You did so and moved in with your 2 children. There came a time when the 2 of you weren't getting along anymore. Mr. Tripp moved out of the apartment.
Yes.
There was an altercation. He moved out of the apartment, and you want him to pay his share of the remainder of the lease because you evidently had an agreement where you would each pay half the rent.
Correct, yes.
In addition, you say that he left owing some household bills and that you lost some days' pay because he filed a false restraining order against you that you had to take time to have resolved. Mr. Tripp says that you harassed him by phone after the breakup, which inspired his request for a protective order, that he owes you nothing for the rent because you had an agreement, according to him, that he can establish, and that agreement was you told him in exchange for keeping his part of the security deposit, you would take care of the rest of the rent and bills. And it wasn't until after you ascertained that he was in another relationship, a relationship where he was having a child with somebody else, that you decided that he owed you the money. That's your defense.
That's right.
When did you sign this lease, Miss Rushworth?
I had originally lived in the home for 1 year prior to signing the lease with the defendant.
How were you paying the rent at that time?
The rent at that time was at a reduced amount. It was at $1,100 a month. Once Clay moved in with us, it was then increased to $1,600 a month.
When did Mr. Tripp sign the lease?
The lease was signed by both of us on May 1st, and I have a copy of that.
And prior to May 1st of 2004, you lived there for 1 year paying the rent all by yourself.
Correct, and I have a copy of the first page of that lease as well.
Okay. You had already paid $1,100 as security deposit. There was another $500 owed. Who paid the $500?
There was an additional $500 for the security deposit
That's
that
what I
was
said.
borrowed from my parents.
Is that correct, Mr. Tripp?
Your Honor, I'll have to say that, no, I believe I put the money up for that security deposit at that time.
You have a check?
No, I don't have a check. I paid in cash. We did, however, live together in that home from July of the year previously with the knowledge of the owner, who insisted we sign the lease come the next turn of events.
Ah, I see. So you lived there for almost a year.
Almost a year.
Paying $1,100 a month rent.
Precisely, which was below market, but it was right next.
And how much did you contribute of the $1,100?
Half.
Is that right?
Yes.
Where is the father of your 2 children?
My 14-year-old's father lives in Mira Mesa.
How much child support does he pay?
He pays $335 a month.
Father of your other child?
He lives in Colorado, and he pays $300 a month.
Okay, let's get to the rent. When did you move out, sir?
I moved out December 1st.
What precipitated your moving out?
The tensions had increased over finances, and basically she told me to get out of her house in no uncertain terms.
Is that right, Miss Rushworth?
Minus a few details is correct.
So you told him to leave?
That was because he threw water at me. He threw a glass of water at me, and then after that...
So was what you're telling me, you want the rent on this house from December when he left until the end of the lease in May?
Yes.
You're not going to get it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Sheila Rushworth says ex-boyfriend Clay Tripp owes for breaking an apartment lease and for household bills.
You were living there with your 2 children, so that you were 3 people. He's 1 person, and yet from the time he moved in, he paid half the bills. So, quite honestly, I don't know what you're doing here with regard to the rent.
That's exactly why we're here, because the 2 of us couldn't decide on the rent and how it should be handled. As far as the other remaining portion of it, the monthly bills that we had, household bills that we had in effect at the time he left, is all I'm asking for him to pay his share of. The SDG&E, the trash, the water, the cable.
Well, how much does that come to?
When you take off the rent, it's about $1,000.
And when he gave you money prior to you having difficulty, did he give you money by check or cash for these bills?
He would give me cash depending on the amount of his check. But for the 3 months prior to this event occurring, he was having his wages garnished by the IRS. So they would take $1,200 of his check. If he only had $300 or $400 out of the check, he might give me $100 of it.
That's what happens when you play house.
Sure. That's exactly, and that's what I mean by sometimes it was more.
Then I've just resolved the issue for you, madam.
The items that he's saying he's paid.
I've just resolved the issue for you, madam. It's over. It's over. You played house for a while. It didn't work out. He does not strike me as a deadbeat. What he did was say to you, I am in effect assisting and supporting your children.
He also would work from home.
So what difference does that make?
Which facilitates...
No. Shh.
Yes, sir.
That doesn't make any difference. Miss Rushworth. If he worked out of your home, that means he worked out of the home that he had before you, I assume.
Which was with me. For 6 years, we lived together.
Oh, so why are you telling me, madam, that this was a relatively recent thing?
Clay and I moved in together in September of 1999. After 2 years of living there, he left on a moment's notice. I was evicted. We got back together. He never once made up for it. He moved in with me at the apartment when I was living there because he was evicted from his place.
He didn't move in with you, madam.
I let him move in with me.
Listen.
He's been...
Miss Rushworth.
Yes.
It's over.
Yes.
The rent is over. The gas bill is over. I'm not interested in the rent and the gas bill. I'm interested in the final part of your claim, which is that he filed false allegations against you, which required you to defend a protective order.
The allegations he filed, I did not say were false. I just said he filed allegations and then didn't bother to show up at the hearing.
He's allowed to do that.
I felt
He's
just
allowed
arbitrarily
to do that.
not show up after I'm required to attend the hearing?
Absolutely. Very often people say, listen, the allegations are true, but we had a long-term relationship. All I wanted to do was stop harassing me. So I'm going to file this. I'm going to give her a wake-up call. Wake up. It's over. Don't call me anymore.
He only did that at the instance of his girlfriend. His girlfriend is the one who instigated it because the restraining order was restraining me from contacting her.
And he's filed one for every girlfriend he's had over the last 12 years.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, but she's leaving a lot out.
Just a second. She's not leaving anything out that I require.
Okay.
So, Miss Rushworth, he's moved on. What you're annoyed about is that he moved on before you were finished with each other.
No. I'm actually more annoyed at the fact that he's, slept with my best friend. Now they're having a baby. And now they're doing all kinds of stuff. And so there's a whole lot of other issues.
I tried to say that more delicately, that he moved on with his life.
This point, that's exactly where it comes to, and I appreciate you pointing that out.
I'm just saying that it's a little more, I would try to say it a little more delicately than you did. He moved on with his life before you were finished with your life together. And that was aggravating. You had a 6-year relationship, not just a year relationship. And I can imagine that you are really angry. Time to say, period.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
May I?
And I say the same. Period.
Your Honor. May I give him the remaining documents that I had at the house that he doesn't have?
You give them to Bird.
Great.
Bird will take care.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Hey.
That's case number 516 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Beck. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have a seat.
Mr. Lee, the defendant was your girlfriend for a while, and you claimed some loans to her for car repairs. And in addition to the loan for car repairs, you say that you loaned her a car of yours, and she refuses to return it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You want the car back.
Yes.
The defendant says that you fixed her car because you always insisted on making sure that her car was in running order. There was never any discussion of her paying you back for fixing her car, and that you, in fact, gave her this car, and she is counterclaiming because she says that after she broke up with you, you broke up with him?
He broke with me. And also...
Just a second. That you came to the house, to her house, and you disabled her car, which you claim is your car, and she wants the money that she had to spend or will have to spend to put it back into running condition. So how long was this lovely relationship that you enjoyed, Mr. Lee?
Year and a half. But I think we broke up like 3-4 times in between.
The natural course of events, Mr. Lee. When did you loan her this car?
First of all, she had her own car, and this car was keep on breaking down. She had no money, so that's what I do. I fix car. That's, my side job. So She has her car. She's always breaking down. Sometimes she helps me pick up my daughter. She has a daughter on her own. And this car is like unsafe. So I keep on spending money on it. I spent $500 one time because her water pump went out, so we did the timing belt, everything. I have the receipt. Then maybe like a month later, our alternator goes out. I fixed it. She said she's going to pay me the money. I said, I spent $500 on your car. Well, I'm going to go to my mom and get some money. I'll pay you back. She goes to her mother's house, come back with $40. Here's 40. I'm like, I spent $500. You know, she had no job, so I told her, when you get a job, pay me.
Did you live together?
No.
So she was doing you a favor?
Well, one night I told her, you spend the night.
Just a second. That doesn't answer my question, Mr. Lee. Uncross your hand. She was doing you a favor by picking up your daughter.
Yes.
And you didn't want your daughter to drive in a car that was unsafe, I assume.
Yes. And plus,
Is that right?
she had no job. I was paying her rent.
And
I was supporting her.
Just a second. You were paying her rent where she was living. How much was her rent every month?
$500 a month.
And how many times did you pay her rent?
I think I paid 3 times.
When?
2004.
When in 2004? Before or after you loaned her money to fix her car?
After. No, right around that time. June, May, I think it was August, I don't know.
All right. May, June, August, certainly after March, after you loaned her money to fix her car.
Yes.
And did she promise to pay you back the rent money too?
No, because she was helping me picking up my daughter, so she had no job, so I was helping her out on that. Is there something?
Shh. Shh. Are you working now?
Yes. Or no, not anymore. I just lost my job last week.
That's what I'm asking you. Are you working now?
No.
Is my question.
I'm not.
Well, your arrangement with her was that she would pay you back when she got a job. She's not working.
She never worked. I got her that job.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you, sir? Even if I believe you that they were loans, and I'm not so sure that they were loans because you and the defendant had an intimate relationship, you were paying her rent, you were supporting her, and I cannot imagine that there was an expectation that she was supposed to pay you back the few $100s that you were spending to fix her car, especially since that was your business to fix cars. Now, let's get to this car that you say belongs to you, that you merely loaned to her. Tell me about that. When did you loan her your car, and what kind of car did you loan to her?
It's a 92 Acura Integra.
And when did she take possession of it?
June.
And tell me about how she took possession of the car.
She didn't take possession. She had a car, her car, always breaking down, that she had no money to fix, that I was fixing all the time. She said she'd pay me back, but she had no job, so she couldn't pay me back.
That's right. So we're not taking care of that. That's the care of the loan.
So I bought this car because it was a good deal. I fixed it up. I was going to sell it. But since her car's always breaking down, I told her, here, why don't you drive this for a while? But the tranny is not so good, so in 2 years, I want to sell it before the tranny goes out.
Just a second. So here's this 1992 car. You can use it. But in 2 years, you have to give it back to me because the transmission's going to go out, and I want to sell it before the transmission goes out. Is that what he just said to me?
That's what he just said.
All right. So you gave her the car. Did you also give her the title to the car?
No, because she crashed her car with my daughter in it. Her driving is not good, so I don't want to be, I'll lend it to her, but I don't want to be reliable. So I bought the car. Registration, I pay for it. Insurance.
Just a second. I'm asking you a question, and you're going to give me an answer.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
There's a 16-year age difference between the two of you. If the worst she did to you was take advantage of you for a 1992 car, I suggest to you, Mr. Lee, get over it.
And later today,
some choice words were thrown back and forth.
You told her, leave.
I asked her politely to leave.
No, you didn't ask her politely. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining, sir.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Young Lee says ex-girlfriend Kristen Beck owes for a loan to fix her car. Young also claims Kristen won't return his car.
Was the car registered in her name?
Yes. But the pink slip...
And the car is titled in her name?
Yes. But she signed it. I have the pink slip. She signed it over to me.
Show me everything.
Show you what?
Show me the pink slip where she signed it over to you.
You're not letting me finish my story.
I'm asking you questions, Mr.
I had
Lee.
the pink slip. She wanted to see the pink slip. So I gave it to, well, I didn't give it to her. I went over to her house, gave the she wasn't there, so I gave it to landlord. You know what, every time we're breaking up, she comes back saying sorry. I think it's for the car she's coming back. Because every time we're broken up, she gave me the car back. 3 times I took the car back, okay? But she always come back, sorry, sorry, and she wants the car back. So I'm thinking, this relationship is all about the car. That's what... It is about the car because she sold her car.
You may be right. You may be right.
She sold her car for $1,000. I told her that she's trying to give me $500. The car that she sold it for $1,000. $500. She's trying to give it to me.
Did you take the $500?
No.
Well, why didn't you take the $500? Because according to you, she owed you a lot more money from the car repairs.
Because I don't know what she was giving me that $500 for. I said, what's this $500? Is this the money that you owe me from the car and all the money that I spent, you know, like rent, everything? She said, no, this money is, I sold my car, so I'm giving you $500 because you bought me a car. I'm like, wait a minute. I told you this the second time. I didn't give you that car. I lent it to you.
You did.
I did.
You did give it.
Because I have the pink slip.
She has the registration. Car's registered.
She has the
in her
registration,
name?
but I have the pink slip.
Is the car registered in your name?
Yes, it is.
Do you have registration for the car?
You know, I don't. I have the registration.
Can I see it, please?
It's been under my name ever since the beginning, and he never.
Let me just see it. Mr. Lee, you should have taken the $500, sir.
Your Honor?
Should have taken the $500.
500.
June 10th, 2004, the car was registered in her name.
It was never in my name. It was the person that I bought it. It was his name. I never even put it in my name because I'm still working on it. After I'm done with it, I was going to sell it, but I lent it to her. So I told her, put it in your name, but when the pink slip comes, sign it. I have the pink slip already signed to me.
Show me.
Okay? Then later on, she wanted the pink slip. I gave it to her landlord. Then she wanted to break up, whatever. We got into a fight, okay? I wanted my car back. You want to break up? Fine. I want my car back. She didn't want to give it to me. Okay? Give me the pink slip. She said, my landlord has it. Why does your landlord has my pink slip?
You just told me you gave it to her landlord.
I gave it to the landlord, but she's supposed to give it to her. But she's saying she never did. And I have my witness here.
I'm not interested in your witness, Mr. Lee. The relationship didn't work out. The rent that you paid voluntarily.
Fine. I'm not asking for the rent.
Just a second. Well, just a second. But 2 seconds ago, you said to me, what are you giving me this $500 for? I paid your rent. I paid your car expenses. What is this $500 for? The rent, the car expenses? Listen, it didn't work out. How old are you?
39.
How old are you?
23.
So there's a 16-year age difference between the two of you. She's a pretty girl. You liked her. She was helpful with your child. I'm not saying that she didn't take advantage of you. Maybe she did. But if the worst she did to you was take advantage of you for a 1992 car, I suggest
Your
to you,
Honor,
Mr. Lee, you gotta. I suggest to you, Mr. Lee, you have to get over it.
No, excuse me, Your Honor. Okay? The car is mine. I lent it to her. I have witness. Okay? I put it in her name. We got into a huge fight. I want my car back. She put a restraining order on me because...
Mr. Lee, get over it, sir. Get over it. Did you go? That's all. It's case dismissed. Put him outside. Listen to me. Your countersuit's dismissed. I suggest you get security out there for them.
I wasn't surprised what happened in there. I kind of knew he would have done something to upset her. It was out of despite of the restraining order. Because, you know, like, I had this on him, so he just wanted to, because I won't get back with him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter, Davison versus Scott. Step forward, please.
24-year-old waiter Ian Davison is suing his former roommate, 21-year-old draftsman Elizabeth Scott, for rent, utilities, and for hitting him in the face with a broom. Elizabeth claims Ian put his hands on her first.
Mr. Davison, according to what I read in your complaint, you and Miss Scott and another person entered into a lease in an apartment. Three of you were going to share a place together. Miss Scott decided to move out a couple of months early. She had a boyfriend. They decided to rent a place together. And you believe that she owes you for the 2 months' rent.
Correct.
As well as a utility bill for those 2 months. And in addition, it is your claim that she assaulted you when she left the apartment over a dispute. Ms. Scott says that she had fully intended to pay the 2 months' rent, but that you became so aggressive when she was moving out, it was unsafe for her to live there. As a matter of fact, it was you who were the aggressor on the final day of her stay in the apartment. She was, however, taken into custody initially because she hit you with a broom. Is that right?
I was never taken into custody, but...
The police were called?
Yes. I called the police.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Ian Davison says his former roommate, Elizabeth Scott, owes for rent and utility bills. Ian also claims Elizabeth hit him in the face with a broom and gave him a black eye.
So what happened, Mr. Davison?
On the 8th of October, 2004, we had a meeting, roommate meeting, to discuss the finances, to figure out whether or not everything was in order. At that point in time, outside of her delinquency that month, everything was fine.
So you say she hadn't paid her rent?
Correct. We received a notice that said that she had not paid. There was $300 outstanding, being that I paid mine, Ken paid his, who was my roommate at the time. We figured it was hers. We asked her, and she said she hadn't paid, but she said she was going to, which we were completely fine with. And then I brought up the utilities. When I brought this up, she got real mad. She said that I was nickel and diming her, claiming...
Well, you're talking about the utilities that were owed up until that point, or the utilities prospectively for the 2 months that she wouldn't be living there?
A little bit of both. There was some owed, and then there was a couple of months when she wasn't going to be there that we were claiming she would have to pay. She said that she didn't think so. She
didn't want to pay for the utilities for the time that she wouldn't be enjoying the utilities, and only you two would be.
Correct. On October 9th, though, the day in question, she arrived to pick up the loose ends. Her and her boyfriend arrived. I was preparing for work, watching some football, and I calmly asked her. I asked her if she was going to pay, if she had been down to the office that day, and she said no, and if I could speak bluntly, Your Honor, she said, verbatim, none of your effing business. Some choice words were thrown back and forth. I realized that the argument wasn't going to be...
When you say some choice words were thrown back and forth, Mr. Davison, by both of you?
By both of us.
And when you say some choice words by both of you, I assume you meant that you raised your voice.
I did.
And she raised her voice.
She did.
Okay, so it got pretty heated.
It got heated.
And then what did you do, Mr. Davison?
Then I told her that I would like her to leave. She said that she wasn't going anywhere. You know, she was on the lease. Although she wasn't paying it, she claimed that she was no longer going to be paying anything. So I said...
So you told her, leave.
I asked her politely to leave.
No, you didn't ask her politely. At this point, you're not asking anybody politely, Mr. Davison. Don't, you know, don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. So you told her to get out of the apartment?
Yes.
And when you told her to get out of the apartment, what did you do?
I walked into the kitchen and, you know, confronted her. I said, you need to go. This is stressing me out. I don't want to go to work. You know, all worked up.
Just a second. So what you're telling me is after you've been screaming and yelling at each other and using profanity at each other, you walked inside and said to her, listen, you really have to go because this is stressing me out. Is that what you want me to believe, Mr. Davison?
Not in those words.
Well, if I ask you to relate the conversation to me, I don't expect you to put a spin on it.
Okay.
Because otherwise then I can't believe anything that you tell me.
Okay.
Go.
I walked into the kitchen. I said, will you please go? Will you get out? And I said it angrily, because I was worked up. You are correct. At this point in time, Nick was waiting. Her boyfriend was waiting with the door open. They had all their things to go. They were ready to go. She had, you know, her broom and her Swiffer. She was getting ready to go. I placed my hands on her shoulder, you know, to escort her out, at which point in time she stepped back and she used the broom, forcefully hitting me in the eye. I have a picture of it right here.
Why did you put your hands on her, Mr. Davison?
Because I was hoping that it would, you know, help her out of... I was hoping that I would be able to escort her out of the apartment.
How tall are you?
6 feet.
6 feet. How tall are you?
5'3".
5'3". How much do you weigh?
About 185.
And what do you weigh?
125.
See how good things are? If you just keep your mouth shut? Tell me what he did to you in the kitchen.
Well, I had other things besides a Swiffer and a broom in my hand. I had a bag of stuff. I was cleaning out the hall closet where I keep all my cleaning and stuff. And I had all my stuff, and he grabbed both my arms and pushed me not against the door, but towards the entry of the apartment.
From the back or from the front?
Front. And then I pushed back, and the Swiffer hit him in the face.
Stuff happens. A 6-foot-tall, 185-pound man is not supposed to put their hands in an aggressive, angry manner, which is what you were at that point. Otherwise, you would have not left the couch for football. The young men in my family, if they have to leave the couch for anything, it usually is very irritating to them. The fact that you got worse the deal, as I said, stuff happens. Now, let's get on to the 2 months' rent. Mr. Davison, you kicked her out of the apartment.
I did not kick her out, Your
Yes,
Honor.
you did. According to you, sir, you said to her, "Get out." And when the police arrived, they actually put her out. Right?
They did. They said she could no longer be in the apartment without a police escort.
I am ruling now, Mr. Davison, that that is because you put your hands on her in an aggressive manner and told her to get out of the apartment. And if she got out of the apartment at your direction, you ain't entitled to the rent. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 287 on the calendar in the matter of Ortiz versus Palacios. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Mr. Ortiz, you and the defendant have 3 children together. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
You say she owes you some money. Palacios says she doesn't owe you anything. As a matter of fact, she believes that you should give her some money for medical bills for the birth of one of your children, as well as some personal property. Is that right?
Yes.
How old are these children?
The other one is 4 years. That's a boy. The other one is 3 years. And my baby boy is about 9 months.
And where do these children live?
Currently, they live with the mother.
Is that right?
Yes.
And who do you live with?
With my parents.
How long have you been together with Mr. Ortiz?
We were together for almost 5 years.
During that time that you lived together?
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
When did you go back to live with your mother?
On May 28th, 2002.
And since you've been living with your mother, how much child support has Mr. Ortiz paid you?
Nothing.
Why?
Because she had failed to the child support agency to submit all the financial statement. Nothing had been settled to the child support
I don't care whether it's
agency.
been settled. What do you think? The kids don't eat between May and settlement date? They don't have doctors? They don't have clothes? What do you mean, no?
I mean, I do think that the children, they eat, and they need stuff.
Why didn't you give her any money?
Because I don't have a job, Your Honor.
You have 3 children and no job?
That's true.
Really? Something wrong with you?
Yes.
What?
I got hurt at work on June 19 and got surgery on the July 27, and since then I've been TTD.
What's TTD?
Total temporarily disabled.
What's the nature of your disability?
Problems with my back.
And you just had these problems with your back since a month after she left?
No, that's incorrect.
Well, how long have you had problems with your back?
Over a year.
Over a year?
Mm-hmm.
Who supports you?
Nobody.
Who feeds you?
Nobody.
You mean you haven't eaten in a year? Mr. Ortiz, who supports you?
The only source of income I was receiving was a work compensation.
How much?
This month I started receiving $210 for permanent disability.
Who do you live with?
Nobody.
Do you have your own apartment?
Yes, I do.
You pay rent?
No, I don't pay rent.
Who pays your rent?
Nobody, because I own the place.
You own what place?
The apartment.
When did you buy the apartment?
On the year 1999.
While you were still together?
Yes.
How much did you pay for it?
I paid $70,000.
You have a mortgage?
Yes, I do.
Who pays the mortgage?
I'm responsible to pay it.
Mr. Ortiz, you understand where I'm going, sir? You're suing her because you wanted to pay for the cost of a trip. Reimbursement for some of a Disneyland trip that you took with her. Who went on the trip? The 2 of you. Who else?
Or family.
The whole family?
Yes.
When did you go on the trip?
September last year.
Was that shortly before or after you became disabled?
I was already disabled by then.
Then you shouldn't have gone on a trip to Disneyland. If you had no money, you don't go on a trip to Disneyland and expect her to pay half. She's got 3 children. You haven't paid her a dime since May. What, are you crazy? You think I'm going to give you any money? Shh, quiet! You think I'm going to give you any money? Man goes on disability. You're not too disabled to go to Disneyland. Spend a fortune in Disneyland when you're not working because you're disabled, because you have a back problem. And you expect me to order her to pay you for half of the trip to Disneyland? Hello? Then you want to be reimbursed for car insurance. You want to tell me about the car insurance?
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Last year, I referred her where she's currently employed. I put the word in for her, that way she can get hired. And then she didn't have a way to transportation. And then she said that she wanted to use my vehicle. And she promised me that she was going to pay for the maintenance and the car insurance for this vehicle.
I'm not even asking her that question. You mean because you were unemployed, because you're disabled, because you have a bad back that only lets you go to Disneyland. She went and got a job. She needed a car to go to the job. You're living as a family with your 3 children. She drove your car, so you wanted to pay your insurance. Is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? Hello?
What I'm telling you is that she promised that she was...
I don't care. I don't believe it. I'm not even going to ask her. I don't care. You made 3 children. You made a promise, morally, to support them. You haven't done it. For a long time, you haven't done it. What?
We split up in May. They spent 16 days with me, those children, on the month of June. The child support is to be retroactive as of June. Since then, I've been working with the child support agency, and I'm just waiting to pay all my...
Listen to me, sir. Because you're waiting for the child support agency to tell you how much to pay doesn't mean that you don't give her money for the children. Do you understand?
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. You're living in your condo, paying the mortgage. She's living with her parents, who did not bargain to have 3, 4 little kids home with them because the 2 of you split up. She can't afford to live in her own place. Are you working?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
Right now I'm a shift supervisor.
How many hours a day do you work?
Normally, a day I work 7.5.
And who takes care of your children?
My mother and my sister.
What about him? He doesn't do anything. Why didn't he babysit for the children during the day?
Because he was very abusive. That's why we got to court.
Very abusive that I wouldn't let him take care of a goldfish. In any event, Mr. Ortiz, you get no money from her. Nothing. You have to have a good moral character. First of all, you live together with her as a family, despite the fact that you chose not to get married. Why, I will never know. If you made 3 children, is there any reason why you didn't get married?
Yes, Your Honor, there's a big
What is
reason.
that?
It's a long story from the very beginning. When she got pregnant, she was not living with me. You know, we were having an affair together.
Why don't you tell me why you didn't get married after your 2nd child was born?
Because that was the reason. She was not living with me when she got pregnant with the 2nd child.
What about with the 3rd one?
With the 3rd one, because she wanted an abortion, she never wanted to do nothing with me.
So you mean you asked her to marry you and she said no?
I never asked her to marry me.
You wanted her to ask you?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My dear Mr. Ortiz, Bird didn't make your 5 children. You made your 5 children. If you can't afford to support 5 children, you don't make 5 children. Period.
And later today,
Miss Brooks says there was a terrible
storm.
And when she came down to check on
the dog,
she also checked on the
equipment.
And she doesn't know anything about anything. About anything.
Correct.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Ortiz says his ex-girlfriend, Mary Palacios, owes for the cost of a trip to Disneyland. Mary says Jose doesn't pay child support for their 3 kids.
What do you want? Medical bills?
Yeah, at least half of the medical bills and reimbursement for everything he kept. Because when I left him with only what I had and a few change of clothes for my children.
Tell me why.
Because I was already afraid of him, and I had it already. I got fed up. And when I asked him that I wanted the rest of my clothing, he told me that it was his property, that I had no right going back to his property. So I never went back. Only one time I went back with 2 sheriffs who escorted me in order to keep the peace. The only thing I ended up getting out of there as well was a few more changes of clothes, but I didn't get all of them. He kept the majority of them. But I left them.
Of your clothes?
Yeah, my clothing. And I've seen
Where's
him
her
wear
clothing?
a few of my pants.
The only thing I have is this that she left on my card. That's it.
I'm sorry, that is a lie.
Just a second. Now tell me about the furniture. Did you keep all the furniture?
Yes, I do have all the furniture, Your Honor.
Who purchased it?
I did, Your Honor.
And what about her?
She didn't purchase nothing.
What was she doing?
Just home.
She was home taken care of?
The children, she didn't want to work. She put many excuses. Who's going to pay babysitting? I'll probably get the minimum wage. And then whatever I will be making, I will be spending on child care. That's what she told me.
And?
And she never wanted to work.
Okay. Listen to me very carefully, madam. You have no claim for furniture unless you can demonstrate to me that you paid for it. Mm-hmm. Because the 2 of you were not married for whatever reason. When you're not married, there is no court that's going to say that we're going to equitably distribute this property. And as far as the medical bills for the birth of one of the children, your family court action that settles the issue of support should also settle the issue of medical bills, because he is required by law, once paternity is established, to go back and pay, in addition to his child support, the birthing costs of the children. Do you understand that?
When we went to family law, I went to child support services, and I asked them if there's somehow that they can make him pay for the rest of this, because I've already paid for like half of it.
Let me see it. And they said what?
They told me what I needed was a court order stating that he is...
the father.
Actually saying that he does have to pay half of it.
Your Honor, she's claiming 2 bills. I have paid the one for Brea. The other one is from an abortion that she had in the year 2000.
Is that true?
I've never had an abortion. No, when we went to family law, he also signed his own stipulation saying that he would agree to pay half of it.
Oh, he did?
Yes. Only I didn't sign it because what he wanted me to agree on was joint custody, and that I didn't think was right because they needed to be somewhere where, a stable home, not just
Well,
jumping.
nobody's going to give him custody of the children if you say he's abusive, and you can establish that.
Your Honor, I have joint custody, physical and legally, with my child.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Show
Not
me.
anymore.
I don't have the court order with me, but I do have joint custody, physical and legal, with my child.
Well, when are the children with you, sir?
They were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That way she can have the weekend.
Is that right?
No, it's going to change now because he was found to be mentally unstable in family law, and also that it was founded that he was very controlling and abusive in our relationship. And now what he's going to get from now on is supervised visitation, Saturdays from 10 to 2, Sundays 10 to 2, and it has to be supervised.
Is that correct, sir? I
did
just want to know what the current order is. Is it for supervised visitation, or is it 4 days a week?
It's current until the order kick in.
When was the last time you saw your children, sir?
Last week.
When did you see them?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And they stayed at your house?
Correct.
Do you have a copy of this order
It's
for
not
supervised?
in yet because it just went through October 10th, and it's not in yet.
Was he present?
Yes, he was.
Were you present when the court issued a ruling?
No, the ruling that the judge made it on the 11th this month. And I was on court hearing on the 10th because I want custody of my child that she's been abusing so much.
All right. When are they supposed to give you an order with regard to the child support?
I have an appointment October 28th to determine who's going to have to pay and how much.
Okay, fine. So I'm not making
Your
any
Honor, I
order.
have a court hearing yesterday for one of my childs, and my child support with my daughter was dropped to 0 because I can afford the payments. Also, I've been using my credit card to pay for some of the stuff that my child needs.
Sir, I would suggest that what you do is you find another way of making a living. Did you walk into the courtroom today?
Yes, I
did. Did you walk into the courtroom today?
Yes, I did.
Have you been standing there for 20 minutes?
Yes, I do.
You haven't been using crutches or a cane. You've been standing there. You're going to turn around and walk out? And you're speaking. Is that right?
Yes.
Then what you have to do is to find a job, sir, that doesn't require the use of your back if your back hurts you. You have to find another way of earning a living.
I just got my license permits from the California. I'm
For
going
what?
to start to sell computers. I haven't even started my business. I have my permit, my state.
So you're going to start a business?
I'm going to start my own business, yes, Your Honor.
Good. You mean instead of getting a job so
Yes,
that she
Your
can
Honor,
attach your
because
salary? Are these the only 3 children that you have?
I have 5 children, Your Honor.
Where are your other 2 children, sir?
The other one is over there on the same town where I live. One of them is right here on L.A.
How old are they?
The oldest one is 10 years old. The other one is 8 years old.
You send their mother's child support?
Yes, Your Honor.
When was the last time you sent money for those 2 children?
On my last paycheck that I got.
Which was when?
I believe it was like on the 15th.
Of what?
Of this month.
You told me you didn't get a paycheck. You told me you haven't been working in a year.
Yes, Your Honor, but my sole income is the permanent disability that I'm collecting right now, and they basing my child support on that. And then she's expecting me to pay child support too on top of supporting my other 2 children.
Listen, my dear Mr. Ortiz, Bird didn't make your 5 children. These 2 gentlemen didn't make your 5 children. You made your 5 children. If you can't afford to support 5 children, you don't make 5 children. Period. End of discussion. He supports his children. I support my children. We don't want to support your children. And if you can't support 5, you don't have 5. You have 1.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jose Ortiz says his ex-girlfriend, Mary Palacios, owes for the cost of a trip to Disneyland. Mary says Jose doesn't pay child support for their 3 kids.
Mr. Ortiz, you get 0 from this lady. And, madam, start life afresh. You have 4 children. Hopefully you can get some child support from them because you are not blameless in this whole thing either.
Yeah.
You know, you had 1 child, then you had 3 more with him. Bum, bada bum, bada bum, right? You're not married. How old are you?
25.
25. Not smart. Not smart. You have certain responsibility.
Yes, I know.
So, And you brought your troubles home to your mother because she didn't anticipate having to start rearing children now, I'm sure, at her stage in life.
That's true.
What you have to do is you have to realize you made a mistake, put a period, and move on. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. Goodbye, folks.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He can't control me anymore. That's it. That's the bottom line.
Then with you, because you just have money, you don't have money to throw you away.
I was always too afraid to have him arrested because he always told me if I did have him arrested, he'd bring me down with him.
She put me like a boogeyman.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Snyder versus Brooks. Step forward, please.
25-year-old hairstylist Jamie Ginsburg Schneider and her husband, Richard Schneider, are suing their neighbor, insurance agent Aaron Brooks, for destroying their entertainment system. The Schneiders say Aaron was watching their home while they were on vacation.
Mr. Schneider, the defendant is a neighbor of yours.
That's correct, ma'am.
And according to your complaint, you went away on vacation. Is this your wife?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had a house sitter there to take care of your dogs, and the defendant volunteered also to check on the dogs in the evening.
That's
She had a
correct.
key to your apartment. According to you, when you came a time when you discovered that some entertainment equipment was either damaged and or missing, or was substantial loss on your part for this entertainment equipment, some sort of game station, television receiver. Ms. Brooks says that there was a terrible storm. And when she came down to check on the dogs, she also checked on the
equipment, lights, everything.
And she found that the equipment wasn't working, so she took it up to her house, right?
Correct.
To do something with it. And she immediately, when questioned about it, put it back, and she doesn't know anything, right?
Correct.
Can I see the estimates for the damage?
Yes, ma'am. The first one is the original receipt for the game center. That was the replacement receipt, and this next.
Just give me what it cost to replace it.
I believe the totals came to about $1,533. The game station was $213.
Right.
A television, $250, and for the replacement home theater, it came to $770.91.
What's the home theater?
That includes a home theater receiver as well as speakers, speaker wire.
Well, was all that destroyed?
No, ma'am, it wasn't destroyed. However, the speakers that went with the original one were incompatible with the newer model to replace that actual home theater receiver, so they needed to be purchased in order to work with the new receiver.
So my question to you, Ms. Brooks, is you had an agreement that you would come in the evening and check on the dogs. Is that right?
Yes.
What were you thinking about putting your hands on any of their equipment?
Well, we went in, Candace would watch TV there every night. I would go in and sit with the dog there and bring it up to my apartment.
Bring what up to your apartment?
The dog.
So you brought the dog up to your apartment. It's not what I asked you. You took entertainment equipment from their house to your house, and I'm asking you why.
Well, because all the lights were out and nothing was working in the apartment, and same thing in mine. So I did check their stuff. The Xbox would not come on. Everything else did.
Why did you take it to your apartment?
I wanted to see if it would work up there. I did not know what was wrong, and I just checked
Well,
it.
they didn't ask you to do that.
Well, I know that, but I took it upon myself to do that. There was other people in the apartment. 3 other people had keys.
That's okay.
It was 2
Just a second. I don't care. Other people did not take equipment. I mean, that's burglary. Madam, you had no permission to do that. You had limited permission. Your limited permission was to enter the house to look after the dogs. You had no permission to check the equipment. You had no permission to touch the equipment. No permission to remove it from the armoire where it had been housed. No permission to take it up to your apartment. No permission to try to see if it worked in your apartment. You had no permission to do that. That's burglary. What?
Ms. Brooks also told us when we got home and noticed all the damage that she was entertaining friends the night that she took the equipment out of the house, and she did not want to bring the friends into our apartment for fear of something happening. So she decided to take the stuff upstairs to her house. That way they could use it in her apartment instead of being in ours.
And you had this conversation with her?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, what?
I did tell her that.
Why did you tell her that?
Because I was honest with her when I called her, and she
So then
called
why
me.
didn't you just give me this story that you didn't take the stuff up there, you just took it up to see if it worked in your apartment?
I did. Well, we did have people over there. We
So
went
you were
down there
playing
together.
with the equipment?
Yeah, we used it.
An idiot. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,233. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Exterminator Rick Weaver and his fiancée, Chrissy Mayer, are suing business owner Stephen Burt for emotional distress over the botched sale of a van. Stephen is countersuing for the return of his deposit and for vandalism to his car.
Order. All rise.
Now, this is case number 273 on the calendar in the matter of Weaver, Mayer versus Burt. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Mr. Weaver, this case is a little complicated, so let me see if I can untangle it. You had a 1989 van that you decided to sell, and I assume you put a sign out in the van?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant, who you didn't know, saw the sign and decided to buy the van. He gave you a deposit. There is some discrepancy as to the amount of the deposit, but he gave you a deposit. He was supposed to come back and pay the rest.
Right.
According to you, he did not come back on the day he was supposed to come back, so the next day you sold the van to somebody else.
Yes.
When he did come back for the van, you told him, I'm sorry, you didn't come back when you were supposed to, so I sold it to somebody else. The defendant said, okay, give me my deposit back. Right. You said it was a non-refundable deposit. Then there were several things that happened. He says you told him you'd give him some money when you got a check, and he came back a couple of times to try to get the money. In any event, you claim that he had you falsely arrested for terrorizing him.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated for that false arrest.
Yes.
Mr. Burt is counterclaiming. He wants his deposit back, and he wants damage to his car because he said when he tried to pursue you for the return of his deposit, you did in fact threaten him, and you threw a brick at his car, damaging his car, and he's counterclaiming. So, Mr. Weaver, tell me when Mr. Burt approached you. He came to your house?
Yes.
What date?
It was July 17th when he came to my house. I heard a doorbell ring, went to the door. Excuse me.
I ask questions. You had July 17th is your answer.
Yes.
How much were you asking for the van?
I wanted $1,000 for it.
Did you write up an agreement with him?
Yes, we did.
Do you have a copy of the agreement?
No, I gave it to him because it was like a receipt.
Can I see the receipt, please?
Yes, ma'am.
I want the original receipt.
Well, ma'am, what happened to the original, my wife had washed my pants and it got destroyed and I had to make a copy of it.
You say the price was $2,000, Mr. Burt.
Actually,
I want you to make very, very certain, Mr. Burt, that we understand each other absolutely 100% right. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
How much of a deposit did you give him?
I gave him a $1,200 deposit, ma'am.
Show me proof that you had $1,200 with you and where you got the money from.
Okay.
Because he says you gave him a $100 deposit. There's a big difference. He says you're selling the car for $1,000. You say $2,000. You say you gave him a $1,200 deposit. He says you gave him.
No, I asked him for a $100 deposit. He brought back $200.
Show me where you took $1,200 from, Mr. Burt.
Yeah, I'm a carpet cleaning business owner.
You're a what?
Carpet cleaning business owner. I own a carpet cleaning business called Priority One. What happened was, me and my wife went home. I got the $1,200.
From where?
From my house. What happened, I didn't have it in the bank because I had a discrepancy with bank, and I had to withdraw all my money out of the bank. And that basically came through a settlement that I had received.
Burt, you think that you can get me the Blue Book value of a 1989 Astro van with 200,000 miles?
Sure.
Good. Thank you. Now, sir, he gave you, according to you, $200, and he was supposed to come back when?
On July 27th. He never called, never showed up.
On the 27th?
On the 27th, yes, ma'am.
Okay. So what happened on the 28th? Who'd you sell it to?
On the 28th, I waited all day for him to call, left a note on my door even, which he had stated to me after he came 2 weeks later, after the 28th, that he had saw the note and never called me anyway, because he said his wife was in a hospital. Sorry.
When did you sell the car, the 28th?
The night of the 28th. What I did
to
was...
whom?
His name was Guy.
And you have all of his information, is
Yes,
that right?
I have the canceled check and the receipt.
What's the canceled check? You can step up. Burt isn't here. Step up.
I'm sorry. This is the receipt we wrote up the day of 28th.
Good.
That's
Step
canceled
back.
check. Thank you.
All right, so this is my question. So 2 weeks later, Mr. Burt comes back and says, where's my car? And you said, I don't have the car, and he wants his deposit back.
Right.
Clearly, based upon the evidence that you've just given me, sir, you sold the car for more money to this other person
Yes.
than you did to
The reason
Mr.
why...
than you did to Mr. Burt. So, you were not out any money. Why didn't you give him back his $200?
Because when he had first come to my house, I said I needed the money for my mortgage because I was out of work because of my knee, and I needed the money by the 27th. And I said it was a non-refundable deposit if you did not show up.
Come on! It's not in your contract.
I know I should have written it, but it was...
It's not there. And if you write up a contract and it's not there, I mean, not that I'm saying this might not have been altered to alter the money, because I think that that's a possibility. Because clearly I believe that you sold the van for $1,100. So why would you sell it to him for $2,000 and then sell it to somebody else for half that? You have a price there for me?
Trade-in fair is $900, Judge.
Okay. Fine. So no way, Mr. Burt, do I believe that you paid $2,000 for this van.
No, Your Honor, I didn't.
Do you understand that you agreed to pay $2,000 for this van?
Yes,
No way. Okay, because you're a businessman. And a businessman doesn't pay twice as much for something that it's worth and it's listed in that book for. So this, sir, that you handed to me, you altered.
No.
Oh, yes, you did. Yeah, you did. $2,000, deposit $1,200. That's what you wrote here. So somebody wrote in a 1 in front of the 2 and changed the 1 to a 2. Somebody did that. Maybe it was the used car ferry or something. I don't know. Somebody did it, if not you. So don't try to pull one over on me, Mr. Burt. He should have given you your deposit back. But don't try to make money off this thing. We understand each other, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He says, get off my property, harass me, or I'm going to blow your head off. Call me a
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Weaver says he was arrested when Stephen Burt filed a false report with the police. Stephen says Rick threatened him and then threw a brick at his car.
Now, he came to your house a couple of times for the money. Is that right?
Yes. The first time he came, I had told him it was non-refundable, and he left. He said he was going to sue me. I said, fine, do what you got to do. He came back again, and in good faith, I said, listen. I said, in good faith, we had a verbal agreement about the deposit. Said it was non-refundable. It was verbal. I said, in good faith, I'll give you half of it back when I get my disability check. He agreed to that. He said that was fine, and I told him to come back, you know, in about a month I'd have it. So he showed up 2 weeks later, and that's when all this other stuff occurred.
Well, tell me about all the other stuff, sir.
Me and my fiance were pulling up in my driveway. He pulled up behind us. We were walking up to my door, and he said, I need to get all your information. I said, what do you mean information? He said, for information to sue you. I said, you have my information. You have my, you know where I live. You know my name. I said, you have all my information. There's nothing. I said, you get off my property, or I'm calling the cops because you're harassing me about this $100. And he left.
Why? It's not 100. It's 200.
Yeah, I know, but we had agreed on 100.
You didn't give him the 100.
No, because I didn't have my disability check yet.
You got the money from the car,
right,
sir.
I paid my mortgage.
That's not his problem. I know. And I believe that you threatened him, because that's what he's going to tell me. Is that right, Mr. Burt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I've already caught you in one lie, so let's not do it again. I want you to tell me exactly what happened the second time you went to his house and said to him, give me your information. Do you understand, Mr. Burt? I don't want you to fabricate anymore.
Yes, ma'am.
Good.
I went to Mr. Weaver's house. I seen him and his girlfriend pull in the driveway. I pulled behind him. Mr. Weaver came over to me. He says, I told you when I get my disability, I was going to give you the $100. I said, well, we need to let a judge decide what to do in this case, because I shouldn't keep coming to you for a deposit that you owe me.
You're absolutely right.
I said, and the reason I'm here is just to get your complete address and a telephone number so they can contact you.
Okay.
He stormed away from me. He went in the house. He came out, slammed open the screen door. He was pointing the object at me. I couldn't see what it was, but he says, get off my property, harassing me, or I'm going to blow your effing head off. He called me. I got in my car. He came off the step. He threw a brick, and he did damage to my car, doing over $800, Your Honor. And I have pictures of the damage.
Well, let me
I
see.
also have a...
and I want to see the police report.
I
And
don't
this
have
was
the
on
police report with me. I
Why
just
not?
have... The only thing that I received was a complaint from Mr. Weaver. They never
Did
gave
you?
me a police report where I filed on him.
When did you file?
I filed the same day
Where?
at Clementon Police Department.
So you left his house and went right to the police department?
Yes, ma'am, after he threw the brick.
Okay, when were you arrested, sir?
The next day, me and my fiance and her 12-year-old daughter were pulling up my driveway. Chief pulled in. I've known for years. He said, "Rick, I had to arrest you. Someone said you threatened them with a gun."
Mhm.
I said, "You know me better than that." I said, I hate guns. I don't even let my kids play with plastic guns."
It's not true, Your Honor.
Shh, quiet.
And he said, "Well, I have to do my job. It's coming from Camden Superior Court, and I have to do my job." So they arrested me. Took me down, fingerprinted me. I got arrested in front of my 12-year-old future stepdaughter, which was very embarrassing and degrading. They took me down in front of all my friends who were police officers. I'm friends with everybody in the town. Arrested me, fingerprinted me, photoed me. I had to go in a van, ride around in a van, a county van. They put me in a holding cell for 22 hours with 18 guys. The one was the guy that was laying next to me on the floor was defecating in.
I don't care. Don't go into it. Listen to me. Your goal could have been avoided if he gave him his $200. Right? All could have been avoided if he gave him his $200. Now, I have a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you throw a brick at his car?
No, ma'am.
No, I don't believe you did.
No, ma'am.
I don't believe you did, but I do believe you threatened him.
No, I did not.
Oh, yes, that I believe. I believe that you told him to get off or you're going to blow whatever. That I believe you did. You see what happens when you lie once, Mr. Burt? When you lie once, like this, and you hand this kind of stuff to me, then I find suspect other things that you say when it's not consistent. What is consistent is that he got annoyed with you coming around, that when you came back and you were very polite, you said to him, "I need all your information. I need your full address." You had his address. All you had to do was look up at the number on the house and you see his address. You wanted a phone number. Do you need a phone number? I'm not sure you do, but you wanted his phone number. I can understand him not wanting to give you the phone number because maybe he was afraid that you'd keep calling to harass him. But I do believe he threatened you. Don't believe this, don't believe this. So I believe you have the right to go and say he threatened me. If they followed through with that, I assume you told them the whole story, then you have no case. Now, you have a counterclaim for the return of your deposit and the damage to your car. He's suing you for $3,000 for intentional infliction of emotional distress for the time he spent in jail and being arrested, all of which came about because he didn't do the right thing. He, in effect, stole your money. Understand that? You stole his money. He gave you $200. You refused to give it back. He was very patient. You were treating him like a fool. And that's what happened to you.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Rick Weaver says he was arrested when Stephen Burt filed a false report with the police. Stephen says Rick threatened him and then threw a brick at his car.
You shouldn't have been a pig, which you were. He said, not only am I going to get $1,100 from this guy, I'm going to get another $200. It's $1,300 for the van. And the van is, according to you, got 200,000 miles, all banged up, not worth much, 13 years old, right?
Right.
So here I got top dollar for this van. So you spent 2 days in jail because you were a pig. As far as you're concerned, sir, you're suing him for $2,085.12, damage to your car, which I don't believe, and return of the van deposit, which you say is $800, which I also don't believe. $200. So you get $200, you get $200, you both get nothing. Goodbye.
Excuse, you may step out.
I think he should have handled it more like a man.
He pleaded his case. I had to pay $7,500 cash bail, and I spent 2 days
And
in
the
jail.
prosecutor in Camden ended up throwing it out anyway because it was
all the
based on
cases
a
were thrown
lie.
out because he lied to him.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Barker versus Laughlin. Step forward, please.
25-year-old occupational therapist Carla Barker is suing her ex-fiancé, heavy equipment operator Donald Laughlin, for the return of a waterbed mattress and 2 jackets.
Miss Barker, you and the defendant have been engaged for a period of time well over a year ago.
Correct.
According to your complaint, you broke up in September of 2001. You moved out. The defendant owes you for some furniture and 2 jackets.
That is correct.
Fine. Those are the 2 jackets.
Yes,
Bird,
ma'am.
would you transfer the 2 jackets to her? He says you can take back the 2 jackets and I don't owe you a dime. Is that right, sir?
Exactly.
Great.
So, Miss Barker, you can tell me now. Now you have your 2 jackets back.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you lived in the same residence, sir, in the same city for the last year and a half?
Yes, ma'am. I've lived there for 6 years.
Worked at the same job?
Yes, ma'am.
So are you Rip Van Winkle? Where have you been for the last year and a half if you claim he owes you money?
I haven't been not dealing with this. For the last 6 months, I have been trying to work with Donald through an attorney that I had acquired to resolve these matters.
When you moved out in September of 2001, what property did you take with you?
I took a love seat, a papasan chair I had. I took another queen-size bed that I had possession of. I had 2 dressers. I had a cedar chest.
Now, what is it that you claim that he has that belongs to you?
He has a mattress, a replacement waterbed mattress. What it is an actual mattress.
A replacement waterbed mattress?
Yes.
What does that mean?
The waterbed had a bag in it that you filled with water. However, I was having difficulty sleeping on that. It was hurting my back. So I purchased basically a regular mattress that had pads on both sides, and it was a regular mattress that fits into the frame of the waterbed.
What else do you want?
There was a computer desk that was purchased. That I had purchased.
So why didn't you take it with you?
Well, at the time, it was too big and it was put together. It would have had to have been dismantled to be taken apart and for me to take. That would have required time, which he was not willing to give me.
So now you decided you wanted it?
Well, yes, when I was...
Well, I'm sorry you don't get it.
But, ma'am, I believe that he is in possession of it. I purchased it.
I don't care whether
and if it is in his possession, that he owes me the money for that.
No, he doesn't.
Can I ask why?
Yeah, you can. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
There are no courts for people who live together. Clearly, when you separated, he had no problem with you taking a whole bunch of stuff out of the apartment. Because I read your complaint. I read your complaint and I read his answer. He had no trouble. You left, and you said, "You take this stuff. You want to take this stuff. You take it. The rest of the stuff." You leave here. You couldn't take this big bandura with you. You had no place to put it, so you said, "The hell with it, I'll leave it there." As far as the bed is concerned, you had him get rid of his waterbed because you had a pain in your back. He got rid of his waterbed. You put another mattress there. Now you want the mattress back?
Yes, ma'am, I do, because
you
he is
can't
still
have
in
it.
possession
You
of the
can't-
bag that went in it in the first place.
You can't have it back. Because if
Then
you
I
wanted
believe-
any of these things back, a week after you moved out, if you had gone to him and said, "Now I want these things because I believe they're mine," then you litigate it.
Ma'am,
You
we
don't
have
come
been
into
dealing
court a
with
year and a
this
half
for-
later and say, "Well, now I have a house that's big enough."
Ma'am, I
When should
haven't
it be?
moved either. My place of residence is still the same.
What does that have to do with anything?
Because it's not the fact that I can fit it, it's the fact that I want him, and I believe that he owes me for that.
He's
And
not giving you a penny.
I have been dealing with
He's
an
not
attorney
giving
for
you
6 months.
a penny. The day after you move out, you resolve all issues. He lets you take a whole bunch of stuff with you. And all of a sudden, you wake up 8 months later and say, I think I'm going to want that mattress, or at least I want money for it. Where's that computer desk? He's got the computer desk. I want the money for that computer desk now.
Ma'am, that's not the way.
So,
that's not
move
the way
on with your life. Don't bother me. You got your jackets back, that's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 274 on the calendar in the matter of Van Geertry versus Harris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Van Geertry, you and the defendant have a child together. The child is a couple of years old. It is your complaint that about 2 years ago, there was an incident with Mr. Harris, and you haven't been together since that incident, according to you. And there was an argument. You got into your car. Your daughter was in the car. It is your claim that Mr. Harris purposely broke the car window, causing the window to shatter all over you and your daughter, caused her to be injured, caused you to be injured, and caused the car to be damaged. Is that your complaint?
As a result of him hitting the window, it happened.
Mr. Harris says that the whole incident was your fault. What happened was an accident. He would never intentionally try to hurt his child. And this lawsuit is motivated by something entirely different. Is that right, Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to tell me how old your daughter was 2 years ago when this incident happened.
11 months old.
Tell me about it.
When we were walking back to go to the washrooms.
Just a second, I don't know washrooms. Where were you? What were you
At a
doing?
company picnic. And we were going to the washrooms, and his sister's ex-husband or somebody that he wasn't happy with was going to pick up the baby and stopping us and everything, and he went on walking and left me standing there giving me a dirty look that this person was holding our child. And I noticed he was drinking hard liquor, and he would not come out, and when he did come out, I said, I want to leave.
You're going all over the place. You were at a company picnic, you decided you wanted to leave.
I'm nervous right now.
Okay. Sorry. You were at a company picnic, you decided you wanted to leave.
Yes.
What happened when you told him you wanted to leave?
He started yelling at me to give him the keys, and I was saying, no, I want to just go and get away from this situation because I see you're drinking. I'm just leaving. I want to take the baby and go home. And he said, give me the keys, give me the keys.
What keys?
The keys for the apartment. I was staying with him at the time. I gave him the keys back, and I was going to leave. He was telling me he wanted cigarettes that were in the passenger side seat, and he was pointing to them when the windows were up and I was going to pull out. And I said, no, you're not getting it, and I was going to drive back.
Okay, so he saw cigarettes that were in the car.
Yes.
That were his, and he said, I want them.
Hmm? They were mine.
They were yours?
They were mine.
But he said, I want them.
Yes.
And you said, you're not going to get them, and you started to leave.
He said, no, through the window. And I started pulling out, and that's when he went like this.
And he
hit
slapped?
My car. I don't know if it was open hand or what. He went like this with the anger face. I looked at his face. And that's when the glass shattered.
Glass on which window?
On the passenger side front window next to me. Shattered in like 1,000 pieces. And I turned around. I was wearing glasses at the time, so it didn't get me. It got my arms a little bit, but not bad. I looked back, and my baby was bleeding really bad. And I couldn't help but be hysterical. And he threw the keys, and I was trying to run him back to get the baby out of the car seat. And I was screaming, she's bleeding, she's bleeding. He just kept on walking away. And he didn't care. He just went over to the side.
Okay. You got the baby out of the car seat, right?
Yes.
And the baby went to the doctor or hospital?
I signed a waiver not to have the ambulance in Itasca, Illinois, to take the baby. I was taking her to a hospital by my mom's house, and I rushed her to the hospital there.
In your car?
In my car, yes.
So you got the glass, you cleaned the glass up?
I couldn't clean it all up. They tried while we were in the ambulance.
Okay, where was he?
He was being taken by the police, talked to, and put in the police car. I have police reports.
Can I see the police reports, please?
On the right side is this police report. This previous police reports of his battery was on the left. And I have doctors.
I just want to see this incident. Okay, when your daughter was ultimately taken to the emergency room, she needed some stitches according to your complaint. Is that right?
Yes.
Can I see?
That, please. But, I mean, doctor's records and bills. The bills are in the front, and the old papers, the doctor's forms at that time were in there from the stitches being put in and removed.
Okay. Did you pay these bills?
No. I wanted him to be responsible for them.
Did you pay the bills?
No,
the answer is no. Do you have any insurance?
No, I don't.
Okay, Mr. Harris. I'll hear you, sir.
All right. On July 7th, my mother had a company picnic, and I was with Amanda, and we went, and I saw my sister, and we said hello to my mother and everyone as they was playing bingo. I told Amanda I had to go to the washroom, and she wanted to come with me, and I had, of course, my daughter, okay? And I met with my sister and her brother-in-law as we was going towards the washroom, and Tommy saw my little daughter, and he went to grab her, and they was talking. So I said I had to use the washroom. I don't want to stay and wait, and you know that was my brother-in-law. I don't have nothing against my brother-in-law to watch my daughter, or to be with my daughter while I go use the washroom. She stayed over there arguing with them, saying that
she wanted to leave.
Right, she wanted to go to the washroom. She wanted to go to the washroom too. That's what I'm saying. So I had to go. I wasn't going to wait for her. I left and went to the man's room. All of a sudden, I come out of the washroom, and she said, "Why you leave me out here?" You know, yelling this. "I want to go home. You son of a goo-goo." You know what I'm saying? All type of curse words. So I'm like, I went in there with my nephew. I could see if I was in there with another girl, you acting like this. You know, they're just like, "I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go." So we was walking out to her car, and I told her to hand me my house keys. Because I feel like I don't want her going in my house, because she went in my house on one incident and took some stuff out of there that, you know what I'm saying? So I like, no, give me my house keys. She didn't want to do that, so eventually she gave the keys. And as I went around, I seen my cigarettes on my side, what I was pointed at, my cigarettes on the passenger side. And I said, "Man, I want my cigarettes." She said, "No, no." And I said, "Man, give me my cigarettes." She said, "No, you son of a," you know, once again. And she put the car in reverse, and I seen her feet was about to step on the paddle. So I jumped back. And when I jumped back, I had a bracelet on it, and that hit the window, It hit a metal piece on it, and I guess it hit the center of the window, and it broke the glass. I was in shock. And at the time, I didn't know my daughter was bleeding until I walked around, and my sister said, Bobby, your daughter bleeding. I said, what?
Okay, I got it. I got it. Do you visit with your daughter, sir?
Yes, I get her every other weekend, and it was supposed to be during the summer. Right now, I'm going for full custody of my daughter.
Why is that?
Amanda has a serious drug problem, and she even tried to commit suicide just over a year ago by trying to OD. And actually, she's very unstable. For the time that I've known her, she always have excuses of why she can't get things done. She
You have a drug
right now.
problem? No.
That drug problem, Your Honor, left my daughter in DCF care about 5 or 6 several times, and every time.
Your daughter ever been in foster care?
No.
Because
ever been out of your custody?
No.
Yes, she have. When she tried to kill herself, I got custody of my daughter.
For a couple weeks.
That was like for a whole month almost. This happened in 2001 in February, so I had it like almost up until the end of March. Okay, and I took full responsibility. She swears to God that I have a drinking problem, but when I took full responsibility of my daughter, there was no drinking. I was picking her up and taking her, dropping her off to the babysitter, making her work on time, doing a responsible thing.
Did you plead guilty, sir, to disorderly conduct?
Yes, I was acting in a manner of, anger. I was like yelling and stuff like that.
You were?
That's the only thing I played, but I didn't plead on all the other charges was dropped.
Yeah, I don't think you intentionally hurt your daughter, sir.
No, I did not.
I don't think you intentionally hurt her at all. Neither does she think you intentionally hurt her.
No, I didn't try to break that window, neither.
I don't know whether you tried to hurt the window, but you hurt the window, right?
Right, it happens.
Right?
Yeah.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today.
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Well, I saw there was money on her bed, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both you smelled it and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amanda Van Geertree says ex-boyfriend Robert Harris smashed her car window with his fist, injuring their daughter inside. Robert says it was a freak accident.
You've been arrested before for domestic violence?
Yes,
Problem is not an answer.
Yes, I have.
How many times?
Once. Well, twice concerning this window being broke.
Your Honor, I have a picture of my daughter, the scar on her head.
I'm sure Mr. Harris knows that there's a scar on your daughter's face. He didn't mean to hurt her. You don't think he meant to hurt her?
No,
right?
but it is a result of his actions, and
it's a result of
I
his
shouldn't have
actions.
to pay for his actions.
You shouldn't have to pay for the medical bills that resulted from his actions. Isn't that right, sir?
Well, I feel like, no.
You feel like what? Of course not. Of course she shouldn't have to pay for the medical bills that are as a result of your actions.
Well, as I was telling you, when she put the car in reverse, she was about to, she stormed out, backing up. I had to jump back. That's what caused the window broke. I didn't go up to the window and hit the window at all.
Listen to me. The car didn't hit your arm. Your arm hit the car.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes. It was all a freak accident. I guess you're right. Then I should be responsible for paying it,
Okay. I want to tell you something, Mr. Harris. You may be 100% right that you are the more appropriate custodian. You've got a hurdle to overcome, and that is these prior police reports. I'm sure that the judge who's handling the custody case will look at that and balance it with whatever problems you have and make a decision.
I just wanted to say, when she's talking about the medical bills and all that stuff, I'm reliable for that. I understand that.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get the court to understand that I'm not out there just angry and just doing crazy stuff.
I don't think you're angry and doing crazy stuff. I think you lost your temper.
Yeah.
Your Honor.
I think you lost your temper, and that's what happens when you lose your temper. You're responsible for what happens as a result of that.
But Your Honor,
what
about the 2 years, and what about the pain and suffering for Olivia having to go for stitches and me having to hold her down and just
what about that?
2 years having to go to court?
What about that?
Because missing work because of him.
You break.
Thank you.
He's the father, just like you're the mother. There was an accident. It was caused by his bad temper. You don't bring the father to court because, let's say she was riding a bicycle. He was teaching her how to ride a bicycle, and he wasn't careful. And as a result of that, the bicycle went over, and she broke an arm. You think you can bring the father to court for the broken arm because he wasn't careful, because he was negligent in teaching how to ride a bicycle? We'd be in court all the time. That's what happens to young children. Now, this unfortunate incident happened because he lost his temper. That doesn't mean you bring a father to court for pain and suffering for a daughter. She's not any more your child than she is his. Do you understand that? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,111.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I guess now, by hearing Judge Judy ruling, I am kind of responsible for it.
I believe that this judgment was wrong. I think I should have gotten more.
I got a little daughter by, a lady that's not stable, has a drug problem.
He didn't care. He walked away when she was covered in blood.
And right just for the show, she called me talking about she hoped that we can come out here and get things back together, and now she want to come here and cry and make me look like an angry person.
He just wants to hurt me some more. It won't stop.
I think that's what's wrong, but that's how she is.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Michael versus White. Step forward, please.
19-year-old student Anna Michael is suing her former roommate, 20-year-old receptionist Bridget White, for the return of a computer. Bridget is countersuing, claiming Anna broke their apartment lease.
Miss Michael, you and the defendant were best friends, roommates, and it is your claim that the defendant took from you a computer that you had paid for, or mostly paid for, and you want $1,000 that you had put into the computer that she took.
Correct.
That's your claim. Miss White says that, yes, she took the computer.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because the arrangement was it was going to be yours when you fully paid for it, and you still owed some $300 on the computer. When you paid the $300, the computer would be yours. Is that right?
Yes.
So she gets her money, she's got the computer, which I assume is in good condition.
Yes.
Good. Now, Ms. White has a counterclaim. She says you stuck her with 11 months on a 12-month lease. She was able to negotiate herself out of the lease, but as a result of that, she lost her security deposit because you left.
Correct.
So she wants that money back from you since you left the apartment. And she also says that you took with you a camera that was half hers. She will explain to me. So let's take care of the computer first. Can I see the receipt for the computer? How much it cost? Total purchase, $1,314. You paid $1,000.
Correct.
So you owe her $314.38.
Correct.
Correct? So you're going to give her that, and she's going to give you back the computer.
I've tried.
Do you understand?
Yes.
5 days from today's date, we will make a transfer. You will get your $314.38. She will get her computer. Is that clear?
Yes. Correct.
Oh, you're not going to get much more out of her. Correct. Correct. Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anna Michael says former roommate Bridget White owes for the return of her computer.
Now, let's talk about this lease. How much was your security deposit?
The total security deposit was $400. I paid $266.66, and she paid $133.37.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Perfect. Now, tell me why you left.
I left because it was an unsafe environment for me.
Explain it.
Her boyfriend was living with us. He occupied the second room. He was involved with illegal activity. I did not want to live that kind of lifestyle anymore. I didn't want to put myself in that position or environment, so I left.
Well, you mean he was selling drugs or using them?
Selling them, yes. I could smell the marijuana in the room. Using them, I have no proof.
Yes, you could smell the
I think it's the other way around.
I think you meant to switch that around.
Oh.
That you could smell it, so yes, he was using it, but you don't know if he was selling it because you don't have any information about that.
Well, I saw there was money on her bed at multiple times, and it was a large sum of money, so I knew he was dealing with it.
So then both of you smelled it, and he was selling it, right? Smell and sell.
Yes.
Now, Ms. Michael, you said you didn't want to be involved in that lifestyle anymore. Had you been involved in that lifestyle previously?
No, ma'am.
So you misspoke when you said you didn't want to be involved.
Yes, I did
misspoke.
Misspeak.
I say you misspoke. You say yes. Did misspeak. Correct. Love this case. So did you have an argument? She told you she moved out?
She never gave me a reason. I came home at lunch, and she was gone.
Really?
Mm-hmm. She called me that Friday morning at work and said, "I'm leaving."
Okay. Now, the lease was in whose name?
Hers, mine, and 2 other girls.
What about your boyfriend?
He wasn't living there.
Was he staying over?
He actually stayed for 3 days. That was a couple weeks before that.
Why did you leave?
I left because of her boyfriend.
Then why didn't you say to her, if your boyfriend comes to stay here and is going to be involved in drugs, I'm going to have to leave? Instead of just saying, I'm leaving. I'm out of here.
Well, it wasn't that easy.
Well, explain it to me.
We had a roommate, and she left on the 11th of July. And so in order to compensate for that month's rent, Bridget brought in her boyfriend, which I interpreted and was led to believe that he would pay for the rest of the money of that month. So he was living there. I did not know that he was going to be involved with legal behavior inside our room. I did not know that. So I told her I would no longer live with him, and I would not live with him through her. And because of that, I left.
All right, now talk to me about the camera.
For our birthdays, which are a week apart, her sister, who is a good friend of mine, bought us both a camera, and it was to both of us, and when she left, she took it with her.
So you think her sister bought you a present?
No, it was for both of us. She bought us more than just the camera for our birthdays. Her sister was a good
somebody
friend
had to
of
take
mine.
the camera.
Huh?
What's huh? Somebody had to take the camera.
Yes. She actually took it. She didn't discuss anything with me, so I just said, that's fine. If you'd like it, you can pay me for half the value.
She's not going to pay you anything for the camera that her sister bought for her birthday. This is the way we're going to resolve this, ladies, and listen very carefully. You would ordinarily have to pay her, in order to get your computer back, $314. Do you understand?
Correct.
That means you pay her $314. You also owe her $266. Do you understand? She shouldn't be responsible for your skipping out. You should have made proper arrangements. When you move in to a place, you're supposed to make arrangements if you want to move out, not just to say toodaloo and the people who were there are stuck. She lost her security deposit.
So did I.
So?
What does that make? I don't.
So you lost your security deposit, but you caused her to lose hers also.
But she signed off on a transfer lease.
So?
I couldn't live there anymore.
I don't know where you went. Where did you go?
I was homeless for a week.
Where did you sleep?
On the floor with in my friend's room.
That's not being homeless. That's being young. Listen to me. On your counterclaim, I'm awarding you $588. That is $314 for the computer and $266 for the money that you were out as a result of this aborted lease. You will get your computer back. Clear?
Clear.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You missed case number 1 on the calendar in the matter of Walker versus Noble. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks have seats.
Mr. Walker, you and the defendant leased an apartment together. Is your claim that the defendant locked you out, she kept some of your property, and in addition, she showed around a private letter which caused you embarrassment?
Yeah.
The defendant says that you, in fact, broke the lease to the apartment. She is countersuing for your share of 4 months' rent. She said that she did not lock you out of the apartment. So when did you sign this lease?
It was September 22nd of 2001.
And how did you know the defendant?
I used to work with her, and we were friends.
So tell me when this problem started, around Christmas time?
It was around Christmas time, December 21st of 2001. I had received a phone call, 3 o'clock in the morning, from my mother, stating that she was sick, and that she wanted me to come down there to be with her.
Where does she live?
She lives in Virginia.
Where is this apartment that you were living in?
It's in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
The only thing I took with me was my clothes. A few days later, my mom got better, so I was going to come home, and I received a phone call from Josie stating that I am no longer allowed in the house because she thought I moved out.
How many days later?
It had to have been like 4 or 5.
In the month of December?
In the month of December.
No.
Okay. Had you paid your share of December's rent?
Yes, I was paid up until January.
None of that is true at
Just
all.
a second, I'm going to get to you in a minute. All right, how much was rent?
It was $240. I paid $240 a month.
Josie, give me your version of what happened.
Let's see, December 20th, I spoke to him on the phone, and I asked him if he had his share of the rent money. And the whole month, I was letting him go with just giving me $40 a week, and we'll just take it up from there, and he'd make it up to me at the end of the month. And when I talked to him, he said that he spent his share on presents. And I never once said that he could never come back to the apartment.
Let's just get you're getting ahead of yourself. You're getting ahead of yourself. Now, what happened? He said he left December 21st. What happened?
He left in the night. I never heard a phone ring at 3 a.m. I would have woken up. He would have woken up.
Well, who's he?
He is my my ex-boyfriend. He was there at the time.
Okay, I don't care whether you heard a phone or you didn't hear a phone. You woke up December 21st, and
I woke up. Well, he woke up to go wake Jamie up to go to work, and he found this note that Jamie left.
Can I see it, please?
No, I did not. That is not my writing.
Oh my God.
I have very sloppy writing. That is not my writing.
Do you have any other writing of the?
I have the copy of the lease that he signed, and I don't know about that.
Well, but he's printing this.
There should be a signature one right above my signature.
Oh, I see. Yes, you're right. I think you wrote this.
I did not write it.
I think you wrote this, Mr. Walker. I'm just looking at the way you not only signed your name here, but printed it on your lease. It's exactly the same as the printing on this. Yes, it is. Okay. So you left.
Yes.
What items do you claim that Miss Noble kept of yours?
Well, she has a computer.
Well, you wrote here the computer is yours, too. You can have my last paycheck. Give this to Dawn as proof. And you also wrote the computer is yours, too.
I did not give her the computer.
Well, that's what you wrote, sir.
But I didn't write that, I'm saying.
Oh, I think you did.
Well, she has a desk of mine, too. A bed. She has some books, CDs.
And when did you try to get back into the apartment, Mr. Walker?
It was right after I got back.
Okay. And you're on the lease?
Yes, I am.
Then you should have been let back into the apartment. Did you go to the police?
No, I didn't know I could.
Of course you did. If you have a lease to an apartment, you're on the lease.
The landlord wouldn't let me back in there either.
No, you go to the police. Put your hand down. I didn't ask for you. You know that you can go to the police if you're locked out of your apartment. Come, 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 come.
And they had the locks changed, too.
So what? The police go, they knock at the door, they say he has a lease to the apartment, he has the absolute right to be here, to the apartment. You were ready to go home in a couple of days. You go home. So I don't believe you, sir.
He didn't go to Virginia. I have a receipt from my cousin who sent him money while he was in York, PA. I
don't care where he went. I don't believe him. You want to tell me the second part of your lawsuit, sir? The second part of your lawsuit is about a letter.
Yes. Miss Noble had gone through my room with all my stuff, and she had found a personal letter of mine, and she had given it to one of our co-workers, and in which in turn that co-worker had took that letter and spread it around work and customers too.
Tell me about that letter.
After he left that note, we waited a little while. He cleaned out the room, Jamie's room, and we found this little red binder that said, "Don't go through it." So we're going to go through it.
Of course.
And he found the letter, handed it to me, I read it, got a kick out of it, and the girl that I showed, he was going around saying that he slept with her, telling nasty stories about her, and it's like, she wasn't my best friend, but she was like a coworker, and it's affecting her reputation. So we invited her over, we showed her the letter, she said, "Can I keep it?" And I didn't care. And she kept it, gave it back, I don't know what I did.
That's why, Mr. Walker, if you honestly wanted to get back into your apartment, and I don't know where you went, because you had valuable things in there, things that you didn't want shown around, that's why you go to the police and you get all your stuff. When, for the first time, did you decide to get back your stuff?
It was right after I got back.
No.
Which was what month?
December.
In December?
Mm-hmm.
So what did you do?
I called her and
So what did you do? Did you go to court in December? Did you go to court in January or February? What'd you do?
No, I waited because she said she was going to take me to court first. And I never got anything back, so I filed the case.
Why should you? Listen to me.
Because she said she was going to.
Mr. Walker, you're not an unintelligent person, are you?
No.
You locked out of your apartment, you go to the police, you say, "I have to get my stuff, my computer, my private stuff." I went away in the middle of the night to help take care of my ailing mother.
He was never locked out. I didn't get the locks changed until about a month ago.
Not even like 2 weeks ago.
What happened was he left a note in my mailbox telling me to call him on a cell phone number, and I told him, "Why don't you just give me like $500 and I won't go to the cops and I won't go do all this stuff so I can get the rest of my money back," because I really wanted to avoid this.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It doesn't give her the right to spread it around work. That's my personal information.
I showed a girl that you lied about.
And later today.
Show me. Well, what do you think you were coming here for? Waltz lessons?
No.
Show me where you had paid off the bills.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jamie Walker says former roommate Josie Noble owes for the return of his belongings. Jamie also says Josie defamed his character.
Go ahead.
May I say something to that?
Who are you?
I'm Sarah, Jamie's friend. He's staying with me at the current moment.
Sure.
On the date that Miss Noble is talking about, when she had called, it is my cellular phone. She was really rude to me, ranting and raving about different things, saying that she was going to harm Jamie and that she was going to have people after him.
What did she say she wanted?
She wanted to talk to him. She wanted to talk to him now, and I said, well, he's unavailable at this moment. He had called her back, and they had talked about it for a couple hours, and
I was at work for a couple hours.
It was like an hour, approximately an hour.
Yes.
They had worked out to where she had said that he could not come get his things. She had also called me before on my cellular phone telling me that, wondering where he was at, and told me that he was not allowed to get his things and that they were hers now.
That was not what was said on the phone at all. At all. I called there and...
Whatever. I don't know what this letter said. I don't have this letter, unless somebody has a copy of the letter. Do you have a copy of the letter?
I have proof that it was about, what it entailed.
And it was left in your house?
It was left in the apartment, yes.
Right. Which I find that you left.
But that doesn't give her the right to spread it around work.
No,
That's my personal information.
May I say something?
I showed a girl that you lied about.
You may not. It doesn't lend anything. Neither did her statement lend anything, but I thought maybe it might.
I was there a lot, like around through everything that happened, so.
Spare me, will you please? He is suing for the following: for the return of his property. What personal property? A computer?
A computer.
A desk?
A desk.
You have his desk?
He doesn't have a desk. All there was a little nightstand thing.
It's a stand.
And a bed. And a couple books were left.
Fine. Where are those things?
The stand is still in the apartment, the bed is still in the apartment, and the books are still there.
Great.
I have my videos too, and my CDs.
What about his movies?
There are no CDs. There's probably like 2 movies I think I still might have, but no CDs.
Okay. So what I'd like you to do is get the boyfriend to help you pack up his bed, his little nightstand, his books, and his videos. Pack them up. Put them out on the front of the house 5 days from today's date. He has 3 hours, from 12 to 3. If you're not there between 12 and 3 to get your bed, your nightstand, your books, and your videos, she has the right to get rid of them. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now let's get to the issue of the rent.
Okay.
You left the premises, and I find that you had no reason to leave the premises. Even if she locked you out, you had the right to get back in there, and I don't find that she locked you out of the residence. So from the time you left in December until the time she found a roommate, you are responsible for half your rent.
Can I say something on that?
Yes.
Her ex-boyfriend now, he was living with us from the time that he moved, or that we moved into the apartment, until the time that I left. And after that, I know he was still staying there, as I know of.
When you moved in September, was he living there?
Yes.
So that you knew he was living there?
Yes.
So?
But
that was your arrangement in September. He didn't move in afterwards, right?
Right.
So stop complaining. You have to pay until she... Who was your new roommate?
She just recently moved out. She was my cousin's cousin.
And how many months did she live there?
4 months.
When did she move in?
Or 3 months.
When did she move in? I don't need her name.
March.
So the month of January and February, is that right? He wasn't there, and then you had a roommate in March. Is that right?
Because he was gone for 4 months before I got her to move in.
Doesn't sound right. $480 is what you owe her. Do you understand?
Yes.
However, we're holding the $480 until you get your property, which is going to be on the order. Do you understand?
I think she might have only been there for 2 months or...
Fine.
So
that's still only 2 months. Do you understand?
Yes.
Good. I don't care whether you agree with it or not. Do you understand it? That's all.
But he was...
Maybe I shouldn't have went to go visit my mother.
He's such a liar, and so is she. Nothing but a bunch of little lies, and I'm so glad that they're out of my life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Fair versus Wharton, step forward, please.
21-year-old bank representative Jessica Fair is suing her ex-fiancé, 23-year-old medical equipment repairman Neil Wharton, for his share of a joint loan. Neil is countersuing for a lost engagement ring.
Miss Fair, you and the defendant were engaged to be married, and there came a time when you and the defendant became inundated with bills, credit card bills, etc. So you went to your mother.
Yes.
And you asked if she could help you out with a loan.
Yes.
So that you could clear up all of your debts and you would pay her back.
Yes.
You and the defendant would pay her back. Is that right?
Yes.
And your mother gave you $8,000.
Yes.
Then you and the defendant broke up. The engagement was off. Now, you're not seeking half the money from the defendant, but according to you, you're seeking only the amount of money that was attributed to his bills, his personal bills that were paid off from this loan from your mother.
Right.
Is that right?
Yes.
Mr. Wharton says that there was never an agreement with him and your mother for this loan. So far, is that right, Mr. Wharton? And he is counterclaiming for the value of the engagement ring, which he says was never returned to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Who was present when the discussion of the loan came up with your mother?
There was numerous discussions of the loan. There was a point where all three of us had been there.
Do you remember discussions about this loan to pay off your bills?
No. She had told me that she was going to seek help for her bills from her mother. I didn't know anything that had anything to do with mine. But as far as us, all three of us sitting in a room together, no.
Did you have substantial credit card bills?
Yes.
How much?
About $3,000 worth.
Now, when Miss Fair's mother agreed to make this loan, were your $3,000 worth of bills paid off?
I do not know.
What do you mean you don't know?
Yeah, exactly that. I really don't know.
Well, you get statements from your credit card company.
No. She called the credit companies and said she was filing bankruptcy and had my mailing address and everything sent to her.
Well, did you ever pay those bills, sir, the $3,000 worth of bills?
I have been paying them off, yes.
You have been?
Yes.
Show me.
I didn't.
Show me. Well, what do you think you were coming here for? Waltz lessons?
No.
Show me where you had paid off the bills. Do you have bank statements showing me that you have paid each month towards paying down this $3,000 worth of debt?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Why not?
I don't.
You want to show me proof that you paid off his credit card bills?
Yes. On the front is a spreadsheet showing everything that he owes and account numbers linked to either him or jointly, and some pay stubs with the bank statement.
What was purchased at Samuel's Jewelers?
My first engagement ring.
What happened to that?
He has it.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Xerox Credit Union, is that you, sir?
It was a consolidation loan. When we split, she decided she was going to take that loan, and I was going to take a wedding loan that we took out for $5,000.
What was that used for?
It was to pay off her other ring that she got.
That's not true.
Well, what was it used to pay off?
I believe we paid the DJ, and we put a down payment on the reception hall. The consolidation loan actually paid off the ring.
Is that right, sir?
Not that I know of. I believe it was with the MBNA wedding thing that we took out.
Have you been paying on that loan?
On the MBNA, yes, I have.
You have proof of that?
No, I don't.
Did he take over that loan, $5,000?
I am still receiving statements on my part saying that the loan is past due, so...
Are you also a co-signatory on that loan?
Yes, I am.
Oh, you in trouble. Now, Miss Fair, what happened to the second engagement ring?
The second engagement ring...
Look at me.
I'm sorry.
What happened to the second engagement ring, Miss Fair?
The second engagement ring was purchased in April 27th, 2 days before my birthday. We financed it jointly, and I paid that with the consolidation loan.
So I'm asking you where the engagement ring is.
I lost it. I don't have it.
I'm not sure if I believe that, Miss Fair, so you better tell me the truth. I'm going to give you one more opportunity. If you have an expensive piece of jewelry, what you usually do is you insure it. So you want to tell me where it is?
I honestly don't have it. When we split, I was giving him back both of his rings. I gave him back the original engagement ring. I couldn't find the other one.
That's not his fault. Did you make any payments, sir, on the consolidation loan?
We were paying from a joint bank account.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So he actually paid for part of the ring?
Yes.
Okay. And how much was the entire ring?
I have a receipt for it. It was $2,144.63.
All right, Miss Fair, listen to me very carefully. I believe that Mr. Wharton is responsible for his own bills, and since he does not have any proof that he is currently paying off on this $3,000 credit card debt, I find that the $3,000 that you actually paid off of his credit card debt, he should be responsible for. And from that, I am deducting half of the cost of the engagement ring, which is $1,072, leaving a balance of $1,928. For that, I am issuing a judgment for the plaintiff and, of course, dismissing your counterclaim. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 331 on the calendar in the matter of Walsh Webb versus Mack. Parties are sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Walsh, for some reason which you will explain to me, you were visiting the defendant. You're a neighbor of hers?
Yes.
And you had with you a backpack.
Yes.
It's your claim that you left the backpack in her house and she refuses to give it back to you.
Yes.
And within that backpack, among other things, were your girlfriend's jewelry, rings and diamonds and valuables that you alleged that you were taking to be cleaned?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So you're suing her for $2,000, the return or value of the property. The defendant says she didn't know what devil you're talking about, that you came into her apartment to use her phone, you didn't leave anything there, and she's counterclaiming because she said you and your girlfriend have been going all over town calling her a thief, among other things. How long have you been her neighbor, Mr. Walsh?
For 7 months.
Okay, and how long have you been living there, Miss Mack?
Since '98.
Is this an apartment building?
Yes.
Now, on what date do you claim you were visiting Miss Mack?
This was like the 22nd. Well, prior to this incident, I visited her several times on different occasions.
Shh. What were you visiting her for?
We were just hanging out, talking, having drinks.
You were friends?
Yes.
Did you become friends before or after you moved in?
After.
You didn't know her before?
No.
So you've known her for about 7 months?
As a matter of fact, I've been seeing her for about 7 months. I've only known her for about, 2.5 months.
What do you mean you've been seeing her?
Seeing her as a neighbor, speaking to her as a neighbor.
Okay, but it's been 2.5 months that you've been going there occasionally and hanging out?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead. Talk to me.
On the 22nd, I was over her house. It was a Sunday.
22nd of?
September.
Go ahead.
It was a Sunday. I didn't know at the time that I had a warrant out for my arrest, which when I left her house, I got picked up on that warrant.
For what?
It was just something personal with me and my family. Something me and my family is going through.
Like what?
A domestic violence.
Okay. So you were arrested on the 22nd of September,
yes,
after you left her house?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, I left my things there.
This is the day that you allege that you left this backpack there?
My backpack and my CD bag as well, yes.
Let's go step by step. You went in to visit.
Yes.
How long did you stay?
I was there for several hours.
What were you doing?
We were just hanging out talking.
And then it was time for you to leave?
No, it wasn't time for me to leave. I told her I'd be back. I stepped out for a minute.
What did you step out for?
To go home.
To go home for what?
To go home and see my family, just to go home. I had seen my daughter and I was worried about her and I went home. But in the process of me going home...
Just a second.
Yes.
How old was your daughter?
17 months.
When you left your home, where was your daughter?
I never left home. I was always hanging out with her until I left. That's when I got arrested.
What do you mean you went to see about your daughter?
I went to go check on my daughter.
Who was with her?
Her mother.
The same mother that was having you arrested for domestic violence?
That one.
Raise your hand if that person is in the room today.
Right here. But I don't...
Keep going. Keep going, sir.
Basically, I went to jail.
I'm not getting the whole story, and I want to tell you something. When I don't get the whole story, that is not a good thing for you. So let's go. You his wife?
No.
His girlfriend, mother of his 17-month-old?
Yes.
You were having him arrested for domestic violence, is that right?
Yes.
He's next door hanging out with the neighbor, according to him, and in his possession is a backpack containing all your jewelry. Is that right?
Yes.
That you were taking to have cleaned.
Yes.
You understand what I mean when I'm not getting the whole story? Stupid isn't written here, sir.
I had already had...
Stupid is not written here.
Oh, God.
Keep going. I love it as we make it up as we go along. So you got the jewelry that's in the backpack that you're taking to have clean that belongs to your girlfriend who was in the process of calling the police to have you arrested. Keep going. Keep going. So you go and you check up on your 17-month-old daughter, and what happened? You got arrested.
I got arrested.
Next.
I called Juanita from jail and told her that I was arrested to give my things to my mother because I knew she wouldn't give them to her.
You knew she wouldn't give them to her?
I knew she wouldn't give them to my girlfriend.
Why not?
Because she told me she wouldn't.
What do you mean she told you she wouldn't?
She told me, I'm not giving nothing to her. I'll give it to your mother or your son or somebody else.
Why is that?
Because she didn't want to give it to her.
Why?
Judge, I don't know.
Because she was afraid I was going to find out what was going on between them two.
Oh.
Anyway.
Shh.
So my mom called her.
What were you doing with her jewelry?
Like I said, I was taking to get it clean. I had it for a couple of days in my backpack, though. Okay. All right.
Get it.
It was Judge.
Go ahead.
My mom called her, talked to her. My mom told me, yeah, she said she would be willing to meet me to give me your backpack. And so when my mom did finally get back with her, she started saying she didn't know what she was talking about. I've never been to her house before, and all this started coming up.
So, keep going.
So I went and did a small claims because, I mean, a lot of my personal things was in my backpack, which I'm taking a major loss on.
What were you doing in her house?
Like I said, we've been hanging out.
You've been hanging out. Have you been intimate with her?
No.
Well, she seems to think you've been intimate.
Well, of course she's going to think that.
Of course she's going to think that. You were just hanging out. Couldn't you find someplace else to hang out? Huh?
I mean, we had just moved out there. I don't know anyone.
They were having domestic violence problems, entertaining our neighbors in the community. On the 26th, me and Miss Webb had a verbal altercation. It was me, my daughter was out there, and this lady sitting here, and several other little kids.
What was the fight about?
Because she said that he gave me his backpack. One day, I say around mid-September, he did ask me if he could use my phone because he was locked out of their house. And I had seen him coming and going. I brought my phone out to the front porch and let him use the phone. He's never been inside my house, ma'am. The night before, when we had the altercation, me and her, the next morning, I get up to go to work. I work 2 jobs. My tires were slashed. Both our tires were slashed. Both mine and Miss Webb's tires were slashed. And I have the police report right here. This is a log of my caller ID log from my phone, all the numerous of calls that I've been receiving from them, from her phone number, from the phone booth, and how many times the housing authority told me that if he can prove that I have their backpack, that he would evict me. So I'm worried about losing my housing because of a lie that he told this girl. And I had to have my phone number changed within 3 days of each other because of the calls from them.
Okay, now, Miss Webb, how long have you been with him?
5 years.
In the 5 years that you've been with him, how many times has he been in jail?
Twice.
When?
Ooh, a year ago.
For how long?
For a year.
For what?
Possession.
Of what?
Of controlled substance, marijuana.
I'll leave it with the possession of controlled substance. Okay? That I believe.
Okay.
When else was he in jail?
And domestic violence.
What does he do for a living?
At the time, he's not working.
When was the last time he had a full-time job, 9 to 5?
A month ago.
And how long did he have that job for?
About 2 weeks.
When was the last time he held a job for more than 3 months, 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
Right before he went to jail a year ago.
So how does he support himself? Want to tell me that?
He gets a check.
He gets a check from what?
From the state.
What's the nature of his disability?
That I don't know. Mental, I don't know. You have to ask him that why he get the check.
No, why do you get a check?
For mental.
For what?
Just have problems, Your Honor. But I would like to say something.
Yeah.
I do have a surprise witness that will let you know.
I'm here.
That
I'm ready.
will let you know.
I'm ready.
That will let you know that we've been knowing each other for some time.
Fine. Bring in the witness.
Thank you.
The person's name?
My mom, Joan Walsh.
She had a conversation with her on the phone, and at the time they had a conversation, she said she will return her items. And at the...
Bring her in.
Walsh?
Your Honor.
Just a minute.
Oh, okay.
All right, Miss Seth.
Miss Walsh, how long do you know the defendant, Miss Mack?
I don't.
How many times have you met her?
Never.
Never seen her in person except for today?
Never.
Did you ever speak to her on the phone?
Yes, I did.
Who called whom?
She called me on the 18th of September and on the 22nd of September.
Okay, and what did she say to you on the 18th of September?
That she was a friend of my son's. She asked me, was he there? I asked her who was calling, because I'm the mother of 6 adult children. I don't answer any questions. And I asked who was calling. Oh, I'm a friend. I'm the one that he's been over my house. And at that time, she told me her name was Regina. And then the following Sunday when she called me, she said Regina again at first. But
Yes.
I let her know that I was speaking with my son on the other line. And she said, well, I just finished talking to him, and he wants me to give you his belongings. I said, what are the belongings? She told me 2 bags. And I said, okay. I said, well, can you call me back because I'm speaking with my son, and I don't know how long he can remain on the phone. And I spoke with him about 20 minutes. And when I hung up, no one else had called me, and I started 69 her back. And I let her know how I had called her. And I asked her when could we meet so I can get my son's belongings. And she told me she would call me back. And when I talked back with her, she told me that she didn't know nothing about it. That she didn't know him or anything. Was her words. Then a couple of days later, I had gotten her number, and I called her on the 25th. And I asked her...
Where did you get her number from?
From my son.
Well, I thought you said you star 69 the number.
That Sunday.
I understand that.
Yeah, that Sunday. But
Just a second, but I
Yes.
understand that. But that was a person who identified themselves as a person by the name of Regina.
I know, but when I clicked back over from my son...
Yes.
He told me who she was, and then I told her.
He told you, but she said, or the person who called you said their name was Regina.
I know. And
Twice. Both times that the person called. Her name's not Regina.
I know, but what I'm saying is when I clicked back over to let my son know that she was on the other line, this is when he said, not Regina, Mom. He said, Juanita. And when I clicked back over, and she just said yes. And a couple of days later, she said, oh, Regina's my friend down the road or something, you know.
Did you speak to her on the phone?
No, ma'am. Never.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He told your story. I don't believe that you're in the process of having him arrested for domestic violence and he's schlepping your jewelry to a jeweler to have it cleaned. That's the first lie. Everything else after that is downhill.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Horace Walsh is accusing neighbor Juanita Mack of stealing a backpack that contained his girlfriend's jewelry. Horace says he was taking the jewelry to get cleaned.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
This is where she starts 69 at, the highlights when she called her.
You're talking about the September 22nd call where they don't have a full number, just a 521?
Yes.
Am I correct?
That's when I started her back. They put the little stars on there.
So they put the little stars there so that you can't tell what the number is. Is that right?
No, so I can't call her. Yes.
That's all I want to know. Am I correct? You cannot tell, or am I reading this right? You cannot tell what number she starts 69. Is that right?
Can't tell the last 4 digits.
And then on the 25th of September,
yes,
your son gave you her number. Is that right?
No, he gave it to me on the 24th, and I called
Or
her
the
on
24th?
Yes.
Right. Thank you very much. You can have a seat.
Thank you.
Then also, can I say something?
Sure.
I have a card from the case management at the housing where we live, where he was calling the housing, and they informed me where he was and where my stuff was, because they said they have seen him come in and out her house.
You can't tell me what they said.
Well, she just...
You can't tell me what they said. That's hearsay.
Okay.
Listen to me. I don't believe his story that he had your jewelry in a backpack because he was taking it to have it cleaned. That's the first lie. Everything else after that is downhill. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Because he was taking it to be cleaned.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that you're in the process of having him arrested for domestic violence and he's schlepping your jewelry to a jeweler to have it cleaned.
But this happened some weeks ago.
What I'm telling you is I don't believe that part of his story. And he said it to me with the same straight face as he's telling me the rest of it. I don't know whether she has your property or not. How am I supposed to tell? How am I supposed to tell? His mother never saw this person. His mother never saw her. Maybe he went to somebody else's house whose name is Regina, who lives 3 doors away. How do I know that?
And then also...
And she doesn't know that either because she never met her.
But then also when we was arguing, her daughter was yelling, "That's why he was over here. You should keep your man on a leash." And...
So? He told your story. He told your story. You better stop talking about her. That's not accomplishing anything. Are you living in the same place?
Yes.
Well, you know, you want to make your lives miserable, or you want to make your lives reasonable?
I don't even talk to her. She the one who goes out telling the neighbors what we're going through. The neighbors didn't know nothing about it until she's outside performing in front of the neighbors.
Let me ask you this question. What are you going through with him?
Nothing. With us.
With us. No, she's going around telling the neighbors
about
our situation, our case, where we're going through. We going to court and all that. So,
going to court for what?
What we're here for.
What we're here
oh, you mean
now.
this case?
Yeah.
So you don't tell anybody that she's a thief?
We haven't said anything about her.
I haven't said anything to anybody about it.
Did you advise the housing authority that she had in fact stolen your property?
Well, the housing authority contacted me and told me where my belongings was. I didn't know nothing about it because when he left my house, that's when the police picked him up. And then that's when the housing authorities called me and told me he's been at Juanita's Mac house, because that's where he's been calling from.
How do they know? The housing authority told you that your stuff was there because she told them that, and then she denies it to the housing authority? You don't know. Listen, I don't know where your stuff is, and I don't know where your jewelry is, quite frankly. I don't know. I can't decide whether or not she has your stuff. His story doesn't make any sense to me at all. His story, totally senseless. Doesn't have a ring of truth to it from the very beginning. So how am I supposed to take pieces of it that I don't believe and put together with pieces that I do believe to determine that she's a thief, that she took your property and won't return it? And I don't believe that in that bag was your jewelry on the way to the jeweler to have it steamed. Don't believe it. So your case is dismissed. Now, as far as your counterclaim is concerned, I have no idea whether or not she's been torturing you and harassing you. If she has been, I suggest you file a criminal complaint.
Well,
listen to me. I suggest if she has been harassing you on the telephone, that is a felony, that you file a criminal complaint. Do you understand?
Yes.
The two of you live together in the same complex. If you want to make each other's lives and your family's lives miserable, you'll continue to do so. If you file a criminal complaint, and if there is a hearing, and if either one or both of them are convicted of harassing you, you certainly have leave to come back to any small claims court and file a civil complaint. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Good. So your counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, case number 284 on the calendar in the matter of Samuels versus Jordan.
Thanks, Bert.
You're welcome, Judge. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats, please.
Oh. Miss Samuels, is this your current boyfriend?
Yes.
And Ms. Jordan, this is your current boyfriend?
Yes.
According to your complaint, the defendant used to date your boyfriend.
That is correct.
And because she was angry with you, or whatever, for dating this gentleman, she vandalized your car.
Yeah.
She says she didn't do it, and she is counterclaiming because she says that you harass her. Right? Could you step up for a moment? I just want to see what everybody's fighting over. Could you pick your pants up? What's your name?
Louis Castillo.
How old are you, Louis?
20.
You live at home?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Knew you were going to get it right, Louis, eventually. How long did you date Miss Jordan?
Probably for like 3 years.
Whose idea was it to break off the relationship, yours or hers?
Both of ours.
How long have you been dating Miss Samuels? She could pick up her pants, too. I don't have to look at her belly.
Probably for like 6 months.
Have you had any contact with Miss Jordan?
No.
Do you know of any reason why she didn't like Miss Samuels?
I wouldn't know.
Don't know? Have no clue. A man of few words. Have a seat. All right, so tell me about this vandalism, Miss Samuels. When did it happen?
6/25/02.
And where did it occur?
Driscoll and Paseo Padre.
Who lives there?
My friend Lisa.
So tell me what happened.
I was over at Lisa's visiting her, and she received a phone call from Barbara. She was going to come over. Well, Lisa told her no, and Barbara couldn't figure out exactly why she didn't want her to come over. So Barbara, being across the street at the payphone at the gas station.
How do you know that?
It says on Lisa's caller ID, payphone, and Lisa knows the payphone across the street.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, she noticed my car being across the street.
How do you know she noticed your car?
Because she knows my car. How? I don't know.
Okay, just tell me, don't tell me what she noticed, what she saw. Just you tell me what you saw and what you heard. Okay, so she called Lisa's house. Is that right?
Yeah.
And Lisa told you not to come over.
Yeah, that time.
I'm reading your answer because your answer seems to verify that. And you went over anyway.
She called me earlier in the day and told me to come over. I said, I got to finish getting ready. And then I called her from the payphone and said I was there. She said, don't come over. And I said, okay. And then he got on the phone.
Louis?
Yes. And he said, I'm going to meet you across the street. I said, why do I need to meet you for? And then they hung up on me. So I went to her apartment and I knocked on the door.
You went to Lisa's apartment?
Yes, and I knocked on the door.
So you knew at that point that Louis was there?
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear Miss Samuels there? What happened when she came over?
She was banging on the door saying for me to come out. She said, come out here, I'm going to kick your ass. Why don't you come out here?
So then, according to you, she knew you were there?
Yeah.
Okay. And you did not come out?
No.
I see it again. Thank you. What happened next?
I received a phone call after Louis had left to get her out of there.
Louis went outside?
Yeah.
Louis, did you see her when you went outside? Louis?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You went outside. What did you see when you got outside? Just look at me. Don't make up any stories because you know what'll happen to you. I'll wipe up the floor with you.
I know.
Just tell me what you saw and what you heard when you got outside, if anything.
I seen her. Basically, I was just telling her, you know what I mean, why are you starting trouble? You know what I mean, I'm out of here. Just get out of here, you know what I mean?
Could you try to speak clearly, you know? So you told her basically to get out?
Yeah. That, you know what I mean? It's over with.
Louis, I know that you're a nice guy. So the answer is yes.
Yes.
And what did she respond to you? Did she say anything?
Talking a bunch of garbage or whatever.
Louis, do you curse in front of your mother?
No.
Would you curse in front of the priest?
No, ma'am.
So you would have to search in your vocabulary and find other words to use, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me what she said to you when you told her to leave.
She was really, like, crying, to tell you the truth. She was, like, crying and, like, tripping because she seen me.
She was crying?
Because she seen her car out there and she knew I was with her, basically.
Don't tell me what she knew. I want you to tell me what you saw. You saw her crying?
Yeah.
Did she say anything to you?
There were mostly cuss words.
That she said to you?
Yeah.
Did she finally leave?
I thought she left because my sister lives in the same apartments. And I went to my sister's house and I came back out and she was at her car.
You saw her at her car?
Yeah, because her car...
No, look at me. You actually saw her near Miss Samuel's car? Look at me.
Yeah, it's right there on the corner of Driscoll and Paseo Padre.
How close did you see her to the car? From where you are to where?
The microphone.
How long was she standing that close to the car that you saw?
15 to 20 minutes. Because I was trying to have her leave the apartment complex. I left and went in my sister's house and she was gone. But when I came back, my brother-in-law had told me that she was out there still.
Did you see her when you came out there again? Is that when you saw her at the car, or did you not actually see her at the car?
I seen her at the car.
When?
The first time.
The first time?
Yeah. As soon as we left the apartment complex.
Down, Louis. Now as clear as mud.
Fog is not lifting.
Okay, when had you parked the car there?
I would say not even a half hour before I was just there.
About a half hour before Miss Jordan came over?
Yes.
When did you see the car again?
After I was clear that she had left. I'm not about to go out there after she said she was going to kill me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
How come you didn't say, I was in the car, I saw what happened, I didn't do it, somebody else did it?
I said that I was there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Erin Samuel says her boyfriend's ex, Barbara Jordan, vandalized her car. Barbara says she didn't do it.
Did you have any further conversation with Miss Jordan?
She had called my cell phone and told me, come out and look in my car.
She called you on your cell phone?
Yeah. After
When?
the incident happened, right after she did it and left.
Okay, good. And then you went out and saw what damaged the car. Let me see it.
This is of the windshield, and the police report says how They examined the vehicle themselves and took pictures, but I don't know how to get those pictures.
What kind of car do you have?
I don't have one.
What kind of car do you drive in?
I don't.
Who's Kim?
My mom.
But your mother has a car.
Yeah. He does
Look
too,
at that. Look at that. Your mother has a car.
She's in jail, though.
Your mother has a car.
Yes.
That a witness says matched the license plate of the car that was responsible for the damage to her car.
That's true.
Ooh,
I
how
was there,
interesting.
but I did not do it.
How interesting.
The girl I was with did do it.
Really?
Yes. I didn't even know her car. I did not know nothing about her, but this girl
The
had known
girl who
her.
was driving the car did it?
No, not the driver.
You were the driver?
No, neither one of us were the driver. There was a third girl involved.
So you were in the car?
Yes.
Good! How come you didn't mention that in your answer?
What?
How come you didn't say, I was in the car, I saw what happened, I didn't do it, somebody else did it?
I said that I was there.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I said that I was there, and I called from across the street on the payphone.
No, you didn't say that you were there. Listen, Barbara, you didn't say in your answer anything about being present when the vandalism occurred to her car.
I didn't get that far.
You got that far in your answer to me.
In my police report, it says
You
that
got
too.
that far in your answer to me.
My police report says that I admit that I was there, but I did not do it.
You did it as far as I'm concerned, honey. Unless you can give me a good reason why anybody else would vandalize her car.
Because the other girl knows her, and she said that she was saying things about me, and she said, how are you going to let it ride? How are you going to just let her? I'm like, I don't really care, because I broke up with him. He was in jail. I broke up with him, and I was staying with him. I don't care that they're together. I don't care about none of that. And I'm not jealous of anything. Why would I care?
Tell me how you got to be in a car with somebody who vandalized her car and what this other girl had against her.
I do not know what she had against her.
I don't know either. All I know is the car
I don't have
belonged.
nothing against her.
All I know is the car belonged to your mother, who you tell me is where?
In jail.
In jail.
It has nothing to do with none of this.
All right. Tell me no more. Give me the estimates on the car, please.
The estimates on the car are on the police report. What's the windshield? This is the restraining order.
I asked you for one thing. I said, give me the estimate on the car.
The complete and total cost is at the very last.
What year car is this?
2000.
Was the car repaired?
No.
Why not?
Don't have the money to repair it. I didn't plan
There's no
on-
insurance on the car?
No.
Who owns the car free and clear?
Me now. It was just paid off recently.
When was it just paid off?
Not even a month ago on my
Well,
birthday.
if it was just paid off a month ago, that means that when this happened in June, you had to keep insurance on the car because there was a money lender involved, so you had to keep insurance on the car.
But I didn't want to pay a $500 deductible that I didn't have to get the car repaired.
Just a second. I'm going to love this. You had a $500 deductible in June, is that right?
Yeah.
Of course. We're now 6 months later, and I'm asking you why you didn't have the car fixed when you had insurance instead of having a bill here for $5,000. That doesn't sound right. Where'd you expect her to get $5,000 from, madam? You're not going to get $5,000. That's what you had your insurance for. You think that I believe this whole cock and bull story that you just told me?
The key
That you
marks?
didn't have, no, about the repairs to the car.
I didn't have the $500 for the insurance.
Let them fix as much as they can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Now, I want you to tell me about your counterclaim, Miss Jordan. Let's hear it.
Okay, she has a restraining order on me. And on
Rightfully so.
On the 11th of this month, at 5 o'clock in the morning, the same girl, Lisa, calls my house saying that she's outside. I go outside, and she's hiding in the car, too. And they give me a paper to say that they're going to sue me. I called my attorney, and I told him that she had came there, and I said, she has a restraining order on me. What can I do about it? Because he said I could go to jail because she has the 100-yard restraining order. And I went back inside, and on my answer machine was a tape of her and Lisa laughing about the whole situation. They're all, F the cops, this and that. Well, you can hear the tape.
Sure, I'd like to hear the tape. Bert, could you bring it up here? Maybe it's nice here.
Okay, I'm gonna hit this. Put it in my phone. I have my phone. Talk about a fast getaway, huh? They're all laughing. Yeah, I can't.
Does it get better?
It's just basically how they're laughing, how they came to my house.
They're laughing. They came to your house. They served you with a small claim summons.
And she's not even supposed to be on our property.
Just a minute. You don't have a protective order against her. Is that right?
Shh,
listen to me carefully. Do you have a protective order against her?
Not yet. I'm in the process of getting it.
Who handed you the summons?
Lisa handed it to him.
So Lisa never served you?
No, but they were at my house at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Fine. They can be at your house at 3 o'clock in the morning.
No,
they can serve
can't.
you with a summons. Yeah. Your counterclaim is dismissed. It's not harassment.
And
in any event, and on your claim, listen to me carefully. You should have had your car fixed when you had insurance. However, I'm not going to penalize you for stupidity any more than $4,500 worth, because I am awarding you $500, which would have been your out-of-pocket expenses had you had your car repaired when you had insurance in June, when this incident happened. Do I make myself clear?
Yeah.
Good. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I have papers saying that my vandalism has been dismissed, saying that I did not do it.
She was seen by people in the apartment complex. They called the police before I even got out to the vehicle to call them, and the description fit her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Yonkers versus Ponce, step forward, please.
20-year-old dietary aide Melissa Yonkis is suing her one-time blind date, 21-year-old student Richard Ponce, for the cost of a motel room and several in-room movies.
The two of you, according to what I've read, were introduced to each other socially through a friend and began communicating both on the phone and the internet. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you decided it was time to meet. And for some bizarre reason that I'm sure someone will explain to me briefly, you decided to have your first meeting at a motel. You arrived at the motel and you decided to put the room on your credit card.
That's correct.
You went into the motel to hang out. According to you, you got disgusted with something that happened in the motel because he was going out to visit a friend, and you stormed out. Then later on, you got a bill for 2 nights' stay at a hotel because he evidently decided to stay that night and an extra night, and for some movies that he had rented. You want him to pay you back for the 2 nights at the motel and the videos. Is that what this case is about?
That's correct.
He says that you stormed out, that somebody, he assumes it was you, vandalized his car, which caused him to get stuck in the motel for an extra day. Is that right, sir?
Yes.
Just tell me why, briefly, you decided to have your first meeting in a motel.
Well, I'd worked late that night, and I live 45 minutes away from the defendant, so by the time I got to where he lives, it was already late, so there wasn't really much else we could do. We both live with our parents, we couldn't go to each other's houses, so we decided to go to a hotel. We had talked about it for a long time, and that was the most convenient day, so I decided.
So what time did you arrive at the motel?
I think it was around 10:30.
And what happened, sir, that caused you to want to leave?
Well, the thing was, I was just not really into her when I met up with her.
You didn't like what you saw?
Well, I went out with a drink with my buddy, which I invited her to come out with me. I came back to the hotel, and I realized that my car was vandalized.
Yes.
My tires were slashed. The car wouldn't start. I'd called a friend who was a tow truck driver to fix. This car was a loaner. This is not my car. So I had to get the car fixed before my friend had found out it had been vandalized, or else she wouldn't trust me ever again with the loaner whenever the emergency case might be needed again, you know.
Why did you stay at the motel 2 nights?
Well, my tow truck driver, the friend that I had was a tow truck, was out of town, and he told me he'd been in town.
Well, Mr. Ponce, you know, you're making this up as you're going. You live in that town, do you not?
I live in the area.
You live in the area. Go home.
Well, I couldn't leave the car there.
Why not? It wasn't gone anywhere. It was already vandalized, had flat tires, and it wouldn't run. So what do you mean you couldn't leave it there?
Well, I couldn't leave it there. I just don't trust leaving a car just vandalized like that. I'm sure a tow truck would just pick it up, a car like that, like, you know, it wasn't even mine. Then I'll lose track and see where it's going to go. So I stayed there the night. I waited until my friend came to pick it up. He fixed it, and unfortunately,
let me see all your receipts,
I don't
sir.
have any evidence or receipts because of the fact that I paid him to fix the car, and it was not like he's not working in a mechanic shop.
You are so full of yourself. You are so full of it and yourself. I begin to zone out because there is nothing there of substance, nothing truthful. I don't even have to listen to it. I mean, I can fantasize about a whole bunch of other things. I'll listen to it. Listen, the first day of the motel you pay for. Do you understand?
That's
your mistake.
I
How
never
much did the
disputed
second night cost?
In
Show me your bill.
Okay. With the movies and the extra day, it cost me $221.
For the second night in the movies?
Yeah, altogether it was $360.
Did you watch any of the movies with him?
No, I left after the first night.
$221. Listen, consider yourself lucky. He's a real loser. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $221. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 309 on the calendar in the matter of Rossi versus Holden Hills. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Mr. and Mrs. Rossi, you recently got married.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendants catered your wedding.
Yes, ma'am.
You were not real happy with the wedding.
Very upset.
And you want half your money back, which
Yes,
is
ma'am.
$3,000. When was the wedding?
August 10th, 2002.
And how many people did you have at the wedding?
120, ma'am.
Did they have a catering hall?
Actually, it's a country club / reception hall catering company.
And they provided the food?
Yes, ma'am.
They say that everything just went along swimmingly well except for some little bananas or something that weren't done quite right. So I have a few questions before we get into what you weren't happy with.
Okay.
Having done a few weddings myself, I know that you usually go for a tasting of the food and to pick the menu. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you do that?
Yes, ma'am.
When did you go for the tasting?
Approximately 1 or 2 months before the actual wedding day.
Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's say you went there sometime in either June or July and you picked the menu.
Yes, ma'am.
And you had dinner.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you meet the chef?
Yes, ma'am.
On August 10th of 2002, did you have the same chef?
Yes, we did.
Same chef?
Yes, but she was fired that night.
We let her go that night, and we terminated her shortly thereafter.
Why?
Well, her attitude was, can't do anything about it now type of attitude, instead of, being apologetic. And
Can't do anything about what?
the fact that the plantains were not properly prepared.
Let's start. So you say there was nothing wrong at the wedding except the plantains were not properly prepared. Is that right, sir?
That was Mr. Rossi's main complaint that
I'm
night.
not talking about his main complaint. I'm talking about you do weddings. What was wrong with the food?
The only thing that was wrong with the food, Your Honor, was the plantains were not ripe and therefore were not prepared properly.
Let me hear.
That's not true.
Let's start with the first complaint.
Well, when we arrived at the reception hall and had our photographs taken, shortly thereafter, probably about 7 o'clock, we entered into the hall. There was no appetizers in the bridal room, as we had requested. There didn't seem to be any coordination.
That was in the bridal room, not,
Right.
not where the reception was being held.
Right.
So you didn't have an hors d'oeuvre to eat when you got there? You
Right.
personally?
Right.
Let's move on.
Okay. We walked into the reception hall after we were introduced, and all the salads were supposed to be in front of our guests and in front of our tables waiting for us.
Okay, so when you come into Michael and Zyda Rossi, come in, and everybody's standing around their tables, and the salads are supposed to be in place at that
Right.
time, and they were not there.
Right.
Why
That's
not?
correct. The salads were not the first course, Your Honor. The first course, the appetizer course, was a pasta course. So the pasta would have been served before the salads as an appetizer.
Well, was pasta served?
The pasta was served before the salads, ma'am. And the salads were supposed to be on the table waiting for our guests, and then the pasta was supposed to be served after the salads.
Do you have a copy of the menu?
I have a copy of the contract, and it has everything that is on the menu. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, but does it say what's to be served first, the pasta or the salad?
It says that it is cheese and the fruit displays, and then it says ziti and marinara, and then the chicken and the plantains afterwards. It doesn't say that the salad should be served before.
Okay,
no.
so what's your next complaint?
My next complaint is after they served the ziti, then they served the salads, and then we had to wait an hour before they actually served the dinner. So what we had to do is we had to ask the DJ to move along with the garter toss and the flower toss and the cake cutting. And we had to do this all before the dinner. The dinner wasn't served until 9:20 p.m. And the dinner was supposed to be served in between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, ma'am. We were married at 5 o'clock. And we had to go around and apologize to everybody for
between
not the food.
7:30 and 8 o'clock. What happened? What happened?
What happened is the bridal party was running late that day, and when we say 7:30 to 8 o'clock, it's an estimated time. 99% of the time it runs late.
Why did it run an hour and a half late, is my question. Were you having trouble with the chef?
I think Mr. Rossi's referring to the entree being served
Yeah,
at 9:20.
he's talking about the entree.
I'm not sure if it was 9:20, Your Honor. It might have been closer to 9. But if the party runs late, we still have to go through all the steps of serving the meal correctly, which means serving the appetizer,
So you weren't having
clearing
any
the
problem.
plates.
You weren't having any problem with the
No,
chef. Okay,
no.
let's go next.
Ma'am, after he served...
Let's go next. The meal comes. Is anything wrong with the meal?
Oh, yeah. It was disgusting. It was nasty.
I couldn't even make out what the plantains were. They were like rotten. They were hard.
It was disgusting.
What was served?
It was supposed to be an ethnic meal.
Okay. What are you having as a main dish?
We're having Spanish rice, boneless chicken, with plantains on the side.
Okay, so that was the side dish.
Right.
A side dish. That was the main problem with plantains.
Well, the rice was nothing compared to what we had the day of our taste testing.
The
chicken was either overcooked or undercooked, and the plantains, half the people couldn't even make out what they were.
Well, he acknowledges that they were pretty nasty.
The rice was mushy. It was nothing what we had at the taste testing.
Okay. Usually isn't.
It was nothing in comparison.
Usually isn't.
Okay.
But what did you do for them because the plantain, their side dish, was bad?
Well, as the night went on, Mr. Rossi had been drinking quite a bit. He came in drinking out of the limousine and down the aisle when they were introduced. And it was hard dealing with him. He was very upset with reason. We take full responsibility for the plantains, and we did try to make restitution. Towards the end of the evening, we told him we'd give him like $300 for the plantains. He didn't want to hear about it. Threw them at my feet in my office, where Linda Rossi had to take him out of the office. At the end of the night, I told him to go on his honeymoon, come back, and we'll discuss it when he comes back. And he came back with, Your Honor, this grocery list of 3 pages of what we think are nonsense nitpicking items.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I take the plantain out of the napkin. I said, look at what you're serving my guests. This was totally embarrassing. I threw it on the floor.
Get over it. There are worse things that happen globally than bad bananas.
And later today,
she said I could have a couple friends over.
Couple, like Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, couples, 2. So how many people did you have at this July 4th party?
About 20, ma'am.
20 is more than a couple.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Michael and Zaida Rossi say wedding banquet managers Roy and Rita Vermeesh owe for a refund of their wedding reception. The Rossis say the food was inedible.
Go ahead, Mr. Rossi, I'll hear you.
Okay, I had a couple of beers. I was not drunk.
Okay.
When the dinner was served at 9:20 p.m., I took one of the plantains and I put them in the napkin. I went out to the bar area and I was looking to speak to Roy. And that's where I encountered this woman where she was the head waitress, and I asked to speak to Roy. She wouldn't let me speak to him. He was very busy. Finally, he comes around the corner, and I take him into the office. I said, Roy, can I speak to you? He said, sure. I take him in the office. I said, Roy, look what time it is. It's 9:20. I got married at 5:30, and I take the plantain out of the napkin. I said, look at what you're serving my guests. I was so upset. This was our wedding day. This was totally embarrassing. I threw it on the floor. I was upset. I admit I threw it on the floor. And I told him, this is embarrassment, and I expect a refund or I will take you to court.
Fine. How much of a refund did you want?
Well, we set up an appointment, and I asked him for $3,000.
Well, $3,000 is outrageous. That's half.
Ma'am, we had golfers come in and eat.
Did you listen to me? $3,000, that's half.
It was a real embarrassment, ma'am.
Well, you get over it.
The waitresses were rude.
Excuse me,
Half
Your
of them
Honor.
wouldn't serve water.
I want to tell you something. I'm not minimizing the fact that this was not the wedding that you planned on, that you had nasty waitresses, that the rice wasn't good, that the chicken wasn't terrific, that the meal was served 45 minutes to an hour late. I'm not minimizing any of that. What that would do is to say to somebody, never use this catering hall again because we were totally dissatisfied. But if there was one thing, and it's clear from what Mr. Rossi says, the one thing that really irritated him, the one thing that he did was he brought this plantain in a napkin and threw it on the floor because that was what was awful. Look what you're serving my guests. There should be some restitution for that, not half the cost of your wedding. Put your hand down. Are you a mother?
Yes, I am.
All right. Well, tell you, if you're her mother, then what you do is you say to yourself, you're going to teach your daughter a little bit of what's important and what's not. You don't get yourself totally exercised over something. You had a wedding, you got married, it's supposed to be a nice day. If the little bananas weren't right, you get over it. It's not the worst thing in the world. There are worse things that happen globally than bad bananas. And you don't expect it to be...
But you pay for a service.
It's not the whole thing.
Absolutely,
absolutely right.
You expect to
and there
get
are
it.
certain things that are objective and there are certain things that are subjective. Attitudes of waitresses is not something that I could put on a barometer. Whether golfers came into the country club and ate your appetizers, something that you should consider before you book a country club where they have golfing people coming inside.
Well, they had assured us that
that
golfers were
listen
be
to
off of
me.
there by 6 p.m.
Listen to me. You're not following what I'm saying to you. If you're dissatisfied with the service, you don't recommend them again. You fed 120 people. 120 people came, they danced. Put your hand down, Mr. Rossi. That's what your main concern was. Your main gripe was one of the side dishes, and it's true that there were only 2 side dishes, turned out to be really lousy. You had your salad, you had your pasta, you had your cake, you had chicken, you had drinks. Let's see what else you had. You had cheese and fruit display. I assume that was there. You had hors d'oeuvres. You had beef teriyaki, scalloped bacon meatballs. Since I heard nothing about that, I assumed that they were there.
I would like to compliment.
You had something with grated cheese. You had chicken, rice, and plantains. Now, the plantains were lousy. They acknowledged that. You had wedding cake and ice cream, which I assume was served.
No, they did not even serve us. They didn't even offer me and my wife a piece of the wedding cake, ma'am.
Oh, get over it.
Can I say
Judgment for the
something?
plaintiff, listen to me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. The whole wedding was $6,000, $500. As far as I'm concerned, it covers the bad plantains. Goodbye. Be happy.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She didn't want me to say anything about a dog coming in,
He came in, probably just walked into the place. Within seconds, he was out the door.
about coffee not being served, about water not being served.
I was probably rude, but I thought he was a drunk from downstairs.
About golfers eating your food, I mean, come on.
I think they should be happy and get on with their lives.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Casey versus Mogel. Step forward, please.
Business owner Melissa Casey is suing her husband's former best friend, 25-year-old student Anthony Miguel, for trashing their home when they were on vacation. Melissa says Anthony threw a party and someone backed a truck into their pool.
Miss Casey, you and your husband were going away on vacation. You knew the defendant. He was a friend of either yours or your husband's or both, and he agreed to do some house sitting for you, take care of your house and your pets while you were away.
Correct.
You came home and you found that someone had backed up into your above-ground pool, causing it to leak, causing your whole backyard to become flooded and all the pumps and everything else destroyed. That happened on his watch.
Correct.
Is that right? Well, Mr. Mogel says that he did not destroy the pool and cause the damage. It was one of his guests that did that, and if you want to be compensated, you should get in touch with that guest. That's your defense. Is that right, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me what happened with the pool, sir.
I had threw a party on the 4th of July
At your house?
at their residence
Oh.
while they were away in Canada.
Now, just a second. You threw a party. Had you discussed that party with them before they left?
She said I could have a couple friends over.
Shh, please, please. Tell me about exactly what she said to you.
She said, as I was over at their house before they
Look
left.
at me in the eyes.
As I was over there at their house before they left, and we had agreed that I would watch the house. She said,
Look at me, look
sorry.
here.
She said, you could have a couple friends over, just take care of the house, and that's what I did. And I had a couple.
Now, just a second. Just one second. What level did you achieve in school, sir?
I'm currently attending college.
As a college student, I will ask you this question. A couple means how many?
A couple friends could be anywhere from 2 to about 20.
Do you ever watch Jay Leno?
Yes.
Do you ever watch Jay Leno when he walks around asking America's youth questions like who was the first president, who's buried in Grant's tomb, who was Jimmy Carter? And you hear the moronic answers they give sometimes.
Yes.
That's what I thought of when you said a couple could mean anywhere from 2 to 20. A couple, like Noah's Ark, 2 by 2, couples, 2. That's 2. You can have a couple of friends over, that's 2. A few friends over can be more than 2. It could be 3, it could be 5. Some people might even say it could eke up to 20. But a couple is always 2. That's why when you call up and make a reservation, they say, are you going to be a couple, or is your party a party of more than a couple? Couple is 2. So how many people did you have at this July 4th party?
About 20, ma'am.
That's
20. 20 is more than a couple.
There were more than 20
Just a
people
second.
there.
Miss Casey, does it sound like you're losing? Don't interrupt. Say nothing to him.
Sorry.
Say nothing to him.
She wouldn't know
this
anyway
case,
how many
listen
people.
to me. This case is a foregone conclusion. I'm really just sporting with him.
Okay.
Do you understand? I'm sporting
Yes,
with him.
ma'am. I
I'm
apologize.
sporting with him because this case should never have reached a court when the damage was done to the property hopefully before you even got home, he would have made arrangements with the other person who caused the damage, probably if they backed into your pool with a truck because they had had too much to drink. He would have made arrangements with that person to take care of the problem. He didn't do that. And even after you said you have to pay for this, he said it's not my responsibility. And he forced you to take time off from your jobs, pursue this case in court. Right? It goes against my grain to just say, you were wrong, sir. Please try to accept responsibility. I have to have some fun with him because I think that that's what you would like. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, it would be boring for you just to stand there and have me say to him, you're absolutely wrong.
Right.
Right? I have to embarrass him a little bit. That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
And if he doesn't understand it, I'm telling him right up front. And I'm not keeping it a secret.
He obviously don't understand.
Well, he obviously doesn't understand. He's going to have to be one of those kids that stays in college about 6-7 years, maybe.
I'm currently on the honor roll and where I'm attending.
Really?
Yes.
Just tell me, Mr. Mogel, what happened on the date when this pool was damaged? You were, according to you, sleeping during this part of the party.
I was passed out around 2 a.m. and
Right.
the party was still going.
Go ahead.
And I
When
woke
you
up,
woke up, what'd you find?
broken pool.
So why didn't you tell them that you would take care of it?
It wasn't my responsibility. Whoever backed into that pool needs to pay the damages.
Your Honor, I have pictures.
Where would you get the pictures?
Sure.
Who do you live with, sir?
With my brother.
Mm-hmm. That's a picture of the keg that him and his 20 friends drank.
Listen to me. He's a fool. He can educate himself from today till tomorrow. If he doesn't understand the fact that he had a responsibility, he took on the responsibility to house it and to pet sit, to ensure that your property was safe while you were there. That was his job. In exchange for having the pleasure of living in your house, use your pool, you know, take a respite from wherever he was living, but live comfortably for a few days while you were away. In exchange for that, his job was to ensure the safety of your house, because if you wanted your place to be trashed, you could have just left it alone, and your dogs would have done their business like they did here with him watching the house, and maybe some strangers would have come in, you know, thugs, vagrants would have come in and trashed your house, but you couldn't have done any worse, right?
Right.
Okay. So instead of him doing what he was supposed to do, he had a party with 20 friends. He passed out from drinking too much. All of his friends were probably in a similar state, and they trashed your property. Now, he doesn't think that that's his fault. And if he doesn't think that that's his fault, I want him to go back and take Graduate 101 watching Jay Leno say who's buried in Grant's tomb.
Your Honor,
okay, because he's a fool. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $4,013.45. Get him out of here, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is case number 312 on the calendar in the matter of Collins versus Tierno. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Collins, your complaint against the defendant is as follows. You lived together for a brief period of time. You decided that the relationship wasn't for you. You were moving out. According to you, the defendant became a little hostile, had a hissy fit, and damaged your property, your car and personal property. He says, well, there might have been some weakness in the car that caused the damage. He really didn't do anything. Right, sir?
Yes.
Okay. How long did you live together?
It was about 3 months.
Okay. And what date did you decide to move out?
It was in August, the 23rd. Actually, it's 22nd.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
I was packing boxes to put in the car and had the hatchback open, and he came in.
Your car has a hatchback.
Yes.
According to
yes. And he saw the boxes and started freaking out, getting, you know, mad. Oh yeah, you want to leave? Go ahead, you know, and I'll help you, and just start loading boxes out and taking and dumping them. And he dumping them in the car, like in a big pile. And one of the boxes, my video camera came flying out and just broke it.
So he was helping you pack.
Helping, exactly.
And putting the things in the hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened?
Then, on top of everything else, he put my stereo, my speakers, and he was trying to close the back, and he was doing like over and over, and he did it really hard, and the window broke. it was just a mess.
So that's the property damage that you're complaining of?
Yes.
Because there was glass all over your clothes and it shattered and whatever. Okay.
And paints, my paints were back there, I just dumped them out, and they were on my good suits and everything, and so that's what happened to my suits.
Well, what
paint and
where was the
glitter
paint
and stuff
from?
Stuck. Well, I'm an artist, and I had some paints and things, you know, for arts and crafts.
Oh, so he
took and dumped them on top of my clothes, right?
Okay.
And then the speakers and the stereo went on top of that.
You have photographs of the car and an estimate for the damage, so I can take a look?
I have receipts. I don't really have photographs.
You have receipts for the hatchback window? That's what I want to see.
Camera that had gone, it went flying out of the box and went for a tumble on the street.
Okay. How much did you pay for it?
It was about $600.
You have a bill?
No, I couldn't find that receipt.
All right,
And
Mr.
then-
Tierno, let me hear your version of the events, sir.
You want to hear the whole sordid story from the beginning?
No, I don't want to hear the whole sordid story. If I wanted to hear, I'm
all that?
speaking. Listen to me. You asked me a question. At least give me the courtesy of permitting me to answer your question.
Okay.
I do not wish to hear the whole sordid story of your relationship. I wish to hear what happened on the 22nd of August when you came home and found her packing.
I came home from work. She was packing boxes. She said, I'm packing my stuff and moving. It's not working out between the two of us. You know, this just came out of left field. I asked her what she was doing, and she said that she
I'm
was
leaving.
moving out. Well, so I helped her. I started helping her.
Tell me how you did that.
What's that?
Tell me how you helped
throwing
her.
stuff around.
Shh. Interrupt him.
I grabbed the boxes that were packed already, and I put them in her car.
What happened to her window?
What happened to her window? When I felt that the car was full, I went to shut the back window, and after shutting it, or after trying to shut it a couple times, I gave it one good one, and it just broke. The window broke. I didn't do it intentionally, ma'am.
No, it was negligent. Either it's intentional or it's an accident. An accident usually is a result, happens as a result of negligence. She didn't break the window.
No, she didn't, ma'am.
So who should pay for the window?
Well, how about the things that she broke of mine, personal property that...
Shh. Please, Ms. Collins, I don't have a counterclaim, Mr. Tierno, so let's not get into what things she broke of yours. What I want to know is, who do you think should pay for the window? Let us assume that I accept your version of the events, that you come home from work, you find her packing. You had no clue that she was going to leave.
Right.
But you very calmly decided to help her pack. And you were packing and putting
Well,
boxes.
we got
I'm
into
speaking.
an-
I'm
oh,
speaking.
excuse me.
According to this is what you just told me.
Right.
You were packing and you put the boxes in the car, and then you tried to close the hatchback at the time when you felt as if the car was full. You tried it a couple of times, and then you finally gave it one good one, because those were your words. Wasn't that his word? One good one.
One good one.
And the window shattered. So my question to you is, who should pay for the
Well, it didn't
window?
really shatter, it was
Her,
cracked, but-
her, or you?
Well, in an argument between a man and a woman, and we got into an argument, and she was throwing things at me, breaking stuff, you know, of mine, okay?
You mean on that day, August 22nd?
Yeah, we got into an argument.
Oh, well, you didn't tell me that, Mr. Tierno.
Okay, well, maybe
The
I should
Mr.
expand on
Tierno, what you told me, sir, was you were helping her pack because she wasn't working out. She wanted to leave. You didn't say anything about an argument, sir.
Okay.
So now you
I
had an
left
argument.
that. We had an argument.
Oh, that's a different story. So when you...
I thought you would realize that, you know, I come home and my girl is packing up her stuff, and yeah, it was kind of...
Oh, no, sir. She said you had an argument. You just said that you came home and you were helping her move her boxes in the car. So there was an argument.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Did you break any of his property?
No, I did not break any of his property.
She did break stuff of mine.
What did I supposedly do?
Quiet.
And later today,
Car just lost control.
He grabbed the steering wheel. He didn't just grab it and like make it move and make me lose control of the car. He grabbed it, pulled it down right here, and held it.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carlene Collins says ex-boyfriend Bobby Tierno destroyed her belongings after they broke up.
What are the receipts you have?
The other receipts I have are for the suit, my good work suits and my art supplies that got smashed underneath the stereo when it got thrown in there, and paint everywhere and stuff. And then after that...
Did you break any of his property?
No, I did not break any of his property.
Okay, just asking you. I don't have a counterclaim, so I'm just asking
I
you.
didn't throw anything.
Whether there's a counterclaim or not, I mean, the truth is she did break stuff of mine.
Well, I don't have a counterclaim, sir.
What did I supposedly break?
Shh. Quiet. Now, what suit are you talking about? Which suit is this?
There was a few. I don't have them all. I just have like one of my good ones.
Listen to me. What suit is that? That's the suit that's there. Because I have a bill.
This one, actually, this one I didn't have a receipt for.
Ms. Collins, why would you save this suit for which you don't have a receipt and not bring the suit for which you do have a receipt?
Well, because I thought that I could somehow save this one. There's the skirt doesn't have anything on it. You know, the other ones were just it wasn't even worth saving. They were just.
You should see my apartment when she was painting all over the place on my furniture.
Listen to me. I don't want to hear from you.
I
don't want to hear from you now. I'm asking her a question. You're not. This is not a bad thing that I'm asking her questions.
When I decided to file a claim and sue for that, I had already tossed the stuff.
All right. He absolutely owes you for.
Now there was some time. They had.
He absolutely owes you for a new hatchback glass for your car.
Why?
Why? Because you broke it, sir. That's why.
Now he was calling.
Why? Because you broke it.
Well, how about the stuff that she ruined in mine? How about the rent?
Sue her. Just a minute. Sue her.
I understand.
Do you understand? She has the right
Well, Your
to
Honor,
sue you, which she has
maybe
done.
I could talk some sense to
Which
you.
she has done. She sued you for breaking the hatchback of her car, which you acknowledge that you did.
And the time off of work.
Judgment for the plaintiff. The car cost you $2,094.45. Thank you very much. That's all.
What about?
That's it.
Oh, he's not excused. He may step out.
He knew what he did. You know what? I guess he just thought that he just wasn't going to have to pay for anything.
When we get in a fight, she'd throw things, and she'd knock over a little knick-knack on the table or a lamp.
I don't break things.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Spear versus Green. Step forward, please.
22-year-old waitress Jamie Spear is suing the father of her child, 20-year-old Job Corps worker Antoine Green, for the cost to fix her car. Jamie says Antoine caused her to crash into a telephone pole.
Ms. Spear, you and the defendant have a child in common, and it is your claim that the defendant caused your car to be totaled.
Yes, ma'am.
You were driving the car, but his actions caused your car to be totally wrecked. The defendant says that it was your fault, that you were arguing with him, and you had no business driving anyway because your license was suspended. Is that your defense, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How old is the child that you share?
2 years old.
Now, what was he doing in your car?
Okay. He went to Job Corps about a year ago. He just got back and he just got a job. This is the first job he's had in going on 2 years. So this is the first real child support.
You went to Job Corps?
Yes.
What did you do in Job Corps?
I took up a trade, brick mason.
And you came back and got a job as a brick mason?
No, I came back and got a job as I'm working for the city of Winston-Salem right now.
Go ahead.
Okay, he called me that day because he was getting off work early. He wanted me to take him to cash his first check, and I agreed. And so, being this his first check...
Okay, so far, was that your first check that you were getting from your job that day, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you ask her to go... Did you ask her to come and pick you up?
Yes.
Okay, so I picked him up, and he wanted me to go cash his check, and we're on the way, and we decided that we weren't going to go through the court system to get child support. He wanted a chance to just give me money or pay for her. And so I asked for $40 a week. As we're going to go cash the check, I said, okay, this is what I want from you. Mind you, I haven't had any child support up until now. So he started telling me that he wasn't giving me money for me to go partying with or to waste and spend on myself. And it hurt me because I've been doing all this by myself. So that started a heated argument, and we started arguing. We were driving down the road. He got mad. He reached over. He grabbed the steering wheel. He didn't just grab it and, like, make it move and make me lose control of the car. He grabbed it pulled it down to right here and held it. So we went up on the sidewalk, we hit a tree, it kind of sideswiped, and then we hit a telephone pole, I think it was, in front of that, which stopped the car. Luckily, there wasn't a scratch on any of us, but the car is totaled, and my daughter was in the car. We could have all died. We were lucky.
Who takes care of your baby?
I take care of her. When I go to work on the weekends, his mother keeps her.
So you only work on the weekends?
No, I work on Monday nights and Thursday nights and Friday and Saturday.
You get any sort of sustenance from the state?
No, just I had daycare assistance, but that's it.
How many days a week?
5.
Well, what do you do when your daughter is in daycare?
Well, I was working lunches, but I wasn't making enough money, so I had to go back to working dinners.
Why don't you find another job to do if you're getting daycare?
I'm going to school in January, and I'm trying to find a second job. I am.
Why don't you work breakfast and dinner and lunch? I mean, if the state is paying for your daycare, Miss Spear, they're paying for your daycare not so you could stay home and watch soap operas in the afternoon. They're paying for your daycare so that you can be out there working.
Right.
Now, you have a suspended driver's license?
I do.
Why were you driving?
Well, actually...
Not actually. Why were you driving if you're not supposed to be driving the car?
The day that the accident happened is when I found out that my license was revoked. She came back to me and said that your license had been revoked.
Why was it revoked?
Because I had an outstanding ticket.
For what?
For speeding.
That you didn't pay?
I haven't had the money to pay.
Well, that's because you were home watching soap operas instead of working lunches. Now I'll hear you. Did you know, Mr. Green, that Miss Spear had a suspended driver's license?
Yes,
when
I
you
knew
called
that.
her?
I knew that.
He did not.
Did you? Shh.
I'm sorry.
He says he did. When did you find out that she had a suspended driver's license?
I found out when the accident happened.
Oh, so you didn't know?
Yeah, I know now.
It's not what I asked you. I want you to try to follow what I'm saying.
Okay.
Now you tell me your version of the events. You called her up and she turned off her TV and she came to pick you up. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. Pick it up from there.
So she picked me up from work. I got off early, and the first thing she asked me is about the child support. She wanted me to give her $40 a week. She wanted
Now, how much more was that than you had given her all of last year, sir? Last year, how much were you giving her a week?
I wasn't giving her pretty much.
What?
I really didn't have a steady job then.
Just a minute. Oh, now I understand. So, you didn't give her anything last year?
I gave her something.
How much?
If I could, about $50, if I could.
So you gave her nothing last year. And the year before, how much were you giving her a week, the year before? A week?
It was close to a couple of $100.
A week?
Yeah.
Really? You were giving her a couple $100 a week?
Yes.
That's a lot of money. Where were you getting a couple $100 a week from?
I had a good job then.
So why did you go into Job Corps?
Because I wanted to get a trade to make more money.
Well, you didn't do that.
No.
It didn't help you.
No, I'm still working on it, though.
You gave up a job where you could afford to give her $200 a week to go into Job Corps? How much were you making at this job?
$300 a week.
So Mr. Green, you are one of the most generous people I know. So you're making $300 a week from your job and you're giving her $200 a week child support. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
You believe that? This is coming from a man who didn't want to give her $40 a week.
No, let me tell you.
$40 a week. So you're telling me first you were giving her $200. Let me follow this, Mr. Green.
I didn't want.
You're giving her $200 a week because she had a really good job making $300 a week. So 2/3 of your income you give her. Then you wanted to get a better job with a trade. So you went to Job Corps where you couldn't send her any money. Then you came out and you got a job where you were making how much a week at this job working for the city?
About the same thing, $250, $300.
$250 or $300 a week, right? So why weren't you giving her $200 a week? The last job you had where you were making $300 a week, you were giving her $200. What happened in the car, sir? So she asked you for $40 and you said, I'm not giving you $40.
No, I'm not giving her no more money. So she started arguing. You know, we was arguing real loud for a minute, for about an hour, driving on the road. The car just lost control. So I grabbed the wheel, tried to pull the car back on the street. But instead, the car hit the pole and then hit up against the tree.
Okay. What was the total damage to the car?
I wasn't able to get an estimate because I can't afford to get the car towed anywhere. It's not drivable, and I can't afford to have anyone come out and look at it.
When did you buy the car?
In February of 2002, this year.
And how much did you pay for it?
$1,600.
Okay.
And then the value of the car is valued at $2,600.
I don't care what it's valued at, madam. Miss Spear.
And then
You think that I believe he's totally responsible for this? I don't believe he's totally responsible. I believe that you're partially responsible. You don't have a fight in a car with your baby in the car over anything. You stop the car and you say to him, get out. Stop the car, pull over, and say, get out. And then you would have gotten out of the car and you would have composed yourself and you would have continued. You don't fight with him back and forth, especially with the baby in the car. Don't you think the baby hears you screaming back and forth to each other? 2-year-old child understands that.
May I say something, Your Honor?
No. Takes two to make a fight. 2 idiots to make a fight driving in a car with a baby. You want to have a fight with each other in a car, bad enough. You're placing yourselves at risk, other people on the road at risk. But to have a fight in a car with your child in the car screaming and yelling at each other is the height of stupidity. So the car, you paid $1,600 for that, I believe. You only get $8. The other $8, work off at lunch. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $800. That's all.
Parties are excused.
বন্ধুরা সবাই কেমন আছো? আশা করি সবাই ভালো আছো। আজকে তোমাদের সামনে আমি এই ছবিটি রং করে দেখাবো। ভিডিওটি না টেনে সম্পূর্ণ দেখবে। আমাদের ছবিটি রং করা সম্পূর্ণ হলো।